Hey guys, Serendi here. Here is part 3 of What If Belle Cranel was Tanjiro's reincarnation. Hit like and subscribe, and also don't forget to check the author in the description. Let's start. Chapter 7. Belle found himself watching the boy in the green and black checkered garb walking along a mountain path in the winter. He wondered how he got there. The last time he dreamed, the boy was on a mission and was inside a contraption called a train. The mountain felt familiar, Belle thought to himself. He saw the boy gasp, and soon, Belle himself gasped, as he was seeing the two little siblings of the boy, alive and cheerful, greeting the boy. Was this some sort of flashback? No, he did not think so. If it were a flashback, the boy wouldn't tear up and tightly hugged both of his siblings. Then, a dream? What prompted the dream? They brought him back to the house. The boy's mother prepared dinner while he caught up with his other siblings. Belle watched them all with a smile on his face. The boy had undergone so much, seeing them all again, even just inside a harmless dream. Belle felt like the boy deserved some happiness. His mind soon went towards his own familia. With goddess Hestia and the new addition of Lily, was it wrong for him to want more family members? Seeing the boy with his siblings made him want more family members. He hoped goddess Hestia could find someone to join them. The next day arrived, and the boy just came back from chopping woods. He assessed everyone and found one missing. So he asked them where his oldest little sister was, only to find that she went out to find vegetables in the mountain, even though it was already afternoon. They asked him why that was bad, but the boy couldn't answer. Belle wondered why. He knew that demons roamed in the night. Oh no! Was this some kind of trap from the demons? Belle approached the standing boy. Wake up! Wake up! You're in a dream! Wake up! But no matter how much Belle tried to shout, no matter how much Belle tried to get the boy's attention, he couldn't interfere with the scenery in his mind. Belle realized something. He was reliving the memory. Even if this was a dream, he was not the one dreaming it. Therefore, he couldn't interfere. He could only watch. Soon, the boy's mother called him, asking to prepare a bath. The boy nodded and went out. On the way, he saw a mysterious box laid down near a tree. That's the demonic little sister's box. What was it doing there? But in a blink of an eye, it disappeared. The boy wondered what it was, as if not remembering it at all. This trap was too cruel. Belle punched the ground in frustration. He couldn't interfere at all. Even though he realized this dream was just a sweet dream, nothing else. This demon was too cruel. Belle gasped. That was right. There were the pig-headed demon slayer and the boy with the lightning-patterned garb. Were they dreaming too? What kind of dream were they having? And the flame pillar too. He wondered if their dream was similar to the boy's. A false happy ending to the tragedies that were rampant in their lives. The boy arrived at the riverside, took one bucket, and dipped it into the water. It was then that he saw something so mind-boggling. He was looking at his reflection, but it did not reflect him at all. The reflection on the river was shouting at him. Startled, the boy did not realize that he fell to the river. Belle reflexively pinched his nose to stop any water from entering it. It took him a few seconds to realize that he was not drowning but floating on the water, looking at the boy and his reflection shouting at each other. That was right. Go. Boy in green and black checkered garb. Realize that you were just in a dream. When the boy opened his eyes, he was back in the house, eating dinner with his family. Now that he realized he was inside a dream, his mind was running at full speed, trying to pick a way to wake up. And then Belle gasped as the boy in the green and black checkered garb was suddenly enveloped in crimson flame. The sudden fire caught everyone off guard. But strangely, the boy did not feel any burn. Instead of being burned, the boy's clothes changed after the fire subsided. Now he was back in his demon-slaying core uniform, complete with his sword. Their bond transcended different realms. Belle thought as his eyes let out tears. That crimson fire was the demonized little sister's. He was sure of it. He remembered seeing the same colored fire before the fight against the lower moon in the mountain. The boy made up his mind. Despite his longings towards the warmth of his family, he had to go back. He had to go back even if it meant losing the warmth he felt now. And so he ran. In the cold and snowy winter afternoon, the boy ran away in a hurry. He had to hurry. There was a demon that trapped him and possibly the others with him. It was then that he heard something familiar, something he knew all his life. It was also something he longed to hear again. Belle gasped. His own eyes went teary at the scene he was witnessing. The boy heard the voice of his sister calling out to him. He stopped running. His sister asked what was wrong. But the boy did not look back. Belle knew why. If he looked back, there was a big chance that he would be tempted to stay. The peaceful past that he longed for, or the bleak future full of blood and tears. Any lesser man would choose the obvious. Soon, the boy's family also came. Every one of them. Indeed, it would be as if the tragedy was just a bad dream. Everyone was there. Every single one of the boy's family that he cherished so much. They were all there, waiting for him. But the boy took a step forward. Even with a face full of tears. Even with a heavy heart. The boy in the green and black checkered garb never looked back and instead kept moving forward. Belle couldn't hold back the tears that flowed out. This was just too painful to watch. Belle himself wouldn't know what kind of choice would he make if he were faced with such situations. Because of that, his admiration for the boy grew even stronger. The boy ran until he was in the middle of the forest. He chose to move forward, but the problem remained. How would he go back to the real world? Belle too was stumped. Now that the boy realized he was in a dream, the only thing left was to leave it and wake up. But how? Suddenly, in just an instant, the boy's father appeared and left some parting words. Then, he took his sword out of the sheath and put it on his own neck. Couldn't be. The boy had to kill himself to get out of the dream? Belle instinctively closed his eyes, not wanting to see the boy killing himself. When he opened his eyes, though, Belle saw the boy already woke up back in the self-moving long carriage called a train. He immediately assessed the situation and deduced that the tickets were the medium for the dream. What Belle didn't expect was for the boy to be attacked by some civilians. They were promised sweet dreams by the demon, and to be granted that, they had to kill the demon slayers when they were trapped within the dream realm. That was horribly cruel for the demon to do so, exploiting the weakness of human hearts just for him to eat them all up in the end. Because wasn't that the end goal of the demon? Sweet dreams or no, all demons preyed on humans. The boy quickly incapacitated most of the civilians, leaving one of them because the sick one did not try to attack him. He asked him if he was all right and got a nod and thank you from him. The boy then left the carriage he was on to hunt the demon. Smelling the demon in the far front, he jumped to the rooftop to gain faster access. Soon, he came face to face with the demon. And then Belle woke up. Aya! Belle groaned loudly. His dream was getting to the good part. Why did he wake up? Belle? Master Belle. His goddess, who once again snuck her way to the sofa, rubbed her eyes and asked him if he was okay. The same went for Lily, who woke up because of his groan. Both looked at him, still sleepy. Nightmare? His goddess asked him. Belle shook his head. The opposite. The dream was so interesting I regret waking up. Belle sighed. If only he could continue the dream. Wait, that was it. I'm going back to sleep. Belle laid his head back down on the sofa and closed his eyes. He couldn't fall back to sleep. Opening his eyes, Belle saw the concerned gaze of Lily and Hestia. Are you okay? Hestia cupped his cheeks. Belle nodded. I dreamed again, and this time it was intense and I want to see what's next. But why don't you continue writing it down? For days ago, his goddess finally convinced him to write the dream he had. They wouldn't publish it, as it contained things he wanted his familia to keep secret. However, they would lend it to new familia members to read, so they would understand why Belle would have them training their breathing. Also, it was a good distraction from the fact that Belle was banned from going further than the 9th floor. Not that he realized what Hestia was trying to do. He himself actually wanted the wider world to see the greatness of the boy in the green and black checkered garb. But there was no way to change the story's content to censor what they wanted to keep secret, as it was fundamental to the boy's progress. So Belle could only gush about his idol to his goddess and Lily. Okay, I'll continue to write what I saw in my dream. It was really amazing, goddess. You'd be surprised, and I think you'll cry. I did cry at a particular scene. Belle continued to gush about the dream to Hestia and Lily. Both of them paid attention to his story. Lily because he wanted to know someone so great that Belle, her idol, was emulating. Hestia was because she wanted to limit Belle from emulating all of the dreams and instead just take the good. So far, the boy in his dream was just too good to be true, that Belle could not emulate the bad things because there had been none. Maybe she'd ask Take My Kazuchi if the Far East were once plagued with man-eating demons. It had been a week since he defeated the infant dragon. A whole week since Ina forbade him from going further than the 9th floor. Welf had finished Lily's sword, so Belle included training to swing a sword to the menu since 2 days ago. His wooden sword was still in progress, according to Welf, and would finish around tomorrow or the day after. Currently, he was facing Ryu in a spar, and Ryu had the upper hand. Taking a breath, Belle went for Shining Ray of Grace, twisting his body in a spiral with the intent to overwhelm Ryu from the front. The trails of fire followed his body and made a fiery twister who went for his opponent. It would not miss its mark. Suddenly Ryu disappeared from his view, and the move hit nothing. He was pretty familiar with Ryu's pattern now, so he knew she was there in the air even without looking upwards. Belle dodged by running away, and indeed, the place where he was before was struck by Ryu from above. Before Belle could jump towards her, Ryu made a gesture for him to stop. Mr. Cranel, I think we should stop for today. That was quite attention-grabbing that it broke Lily's concentration, who was swinging her sword in basic stance on the side. Why? You are not in your head. For the past several days, actually. Ryu wiped out the sweat from her head, taking a water bottle from Seer on the side. Belle had nothing else to reply to, so he just nodded glumly. Ryu is right, Belle. You seem down for the past several days. I thought you would cheer up when Miss Lily got her sword, but you're still. Seer looked at him in concern. Now he felt terrible. To think that these people were having concern for him when the situation wasn't dire enough. I'm sorry for worrying you, Seer, Miss Lion. To be clear, I'm not worried about you, Mr. Cranel. I'm worried about Seer. Ahaha. Is that so? That is so. I see. So, Belle, if you wouldn't mind telling us, maybe we can help. No way. I couldn't possibly burden you two with such trivial matters. Belle shook his head. Seer frowned. Belle, you will never burden us. Isn't that right, Ryu? That's right. Ryu stiffly nodded. Then, I guess. Belle scratched the back of his head. My advisor banned me from going further than the 9th until I hit level 2. I know, it's a trivial matter. That's not a trivial matter, Mr. Cranel. Ryu suddenly interjected. While I don't know the reason for it, I think you should challenge your advisor. Banned from going further until you hit level 2 is just too limiting. The fastest record for getting into level 2 is 1 year. You who only had been an adventurer for around a month. It's too limiting. You won't be able to grow as an adventurer. I agree with Ryu. I don't understand adventurers. But if she said so, it must be true. Seer supported Ryu. Why did your advisor ban you, anyway? Belle laughed sheepishly. Almost dead on the 11th? Seer gasped while Ryu narrowed her eyes. Oh, Belle. It must be scary. Understandable. You should be more careful, Mr. Cranel. There are people that will miss you. Ryu advised him. Belle nodded. I know. That's why I don't fight her decision. Putting myself in her place, you have this one kid who just turned adventurer last month, and suddenly he almost died on the 11th floor, even though you confirmed yourself that his status is enough according to the guideline. It is understandable why she decided to do that. Ryu's eyes widened. Your stat is enough to enter the 11th? That's impossible? I don't know, but I don't lie. I saw what Goddess printed, and it is enough according to the guidelines. What's wrong, Ryu? Seer looked between them. Nothing. Seer talking about adventurer status is not a good thing when you're not in the same familia. You too, Mr. Cranel. Don't tell other people what you just told us. Ryu shook her head. After a few seconds, she spoke up. That said, Mr. Cranel, my advice to level up is challenge yourself. One of these days, try to enter the 11th or 12th and challenge an infant dragon. I think it will be enough for you to level up. Lily, who had finished her swings, spoke up from the side. He had already killed one. Apparently, it is not enough for him to level up. That's what got him banned in the first place. To answer the surprised expression of Ryu and Seer, Belle could only laugh. Miss Arde is correct. Actually, Lily thinks this is just a problem that is pointed out faster than it is. Lily continued. The middle floor is not something that a single high-level one like Master Belle could traverse. Lily hates to say it, but Lily would just be a burden if you decided for us to go there. Master Welf is strong, but just 2 level 1 fighters. Lily is not confident. So Lily thinks that sooner or later, Master Belle would hit the ceilings of never entering the middle floors before you level up. Miss Advisor just takes several floors off it and limit you to the 9th. Now that he thought about it again, Lily could be right. Sooner or later, he would hit this ceiling. Inna just lowered the ceiling a little. Still, the problem remained. How could he level up when he was limited to face the monsters on the 9th floor? Well, thanks everyone. Looking at the positive, maybe if I kill 1,000 goblins or something, it will be enough. Belle finished with a smile. With the amount you've killed in the past week, Master Belle, try 10,000. Indeed. While he was limited to the 9th floor, he decided to kill everything they encountered on the 9th and above. The result was Hestia Familia plus Lily. Got thrice the number of Valis they spent on wealth back in just 1 week. And they didn't spend a small amount either on their equipment. Suffice to say, they weren't strapped for cash anymore for the time being. Hestia even stopped selling Jagamarukin and only worked on Hephaestus' shop to pay her own debt, which she did not want anyone else but her to pay even when Belle insisted. Don't give up, Belle. I'm sure you will find a way. I don't like it when you're sad like that. So I hope today's lunch will make you happy. Seer presented the boxed lunch she had prepared. Belle took it with a smile. Stay safe, Mr. Cranel. I will see you tomorrow. Ryu then took her wooden sword and entered the hostess of fertility. Belle smiled. That was her way of saying that he needed to be on his best tomorrow and let go of his trouble. Thank you. Belle bowed towards the two of them. After that, he took Lily to the outer walls where he usually trained with Ace. What is it, Master Belle? I've trained you to breath and swing your sword. Now combine them. I don't expect any result from the first try, but you need to familiarize yourself. Try swinging your sword while controlling your breathing. Lily followed and entered a normal stance. Both of her hands gripping the sword, positioned above her head, and as she swung down, her right foot moved forward. She was used to swinging the sword, but she found her concentration wavering between controlling her breath and maintaining the stance. Either she lost control of her breathing rhythm, or she forwent her stance. After 10 tries, Lily spoke up. It's hard. How do you keep your concentration, Master Belle? I don't. Breathing that way is easy for me, so I don't need to maintain my concentration to breathe. At least, not if nobody slammed his body or choked him. The next step after you successfully do this is to make breathing a second nature. I'm also still in the progress of doing that. I always stopped my breathing when I sleep. Lily's mouth opened. You can sleep and breathe that way at the same time? Yes, but that's for later. For now, do your best, Miss Arde. Lily nodded, full of determination. She wanted to be able to stand with him. She had no delusion of ever being good enough to become a first-rate adventurer, but she did not want to ever feel helpless again. So she swung. Harder. She swung the newly smithied sword given by her idol. Faster. She swung it to prove to herself. Concentrate. She swung it to prove to everybody. Breathe in. That she, Lilaruka Arde, breathe out, was not a helpless little girl anymore. She looked at the transparent and bright soul again. It hadn't lost its luster even after a brush with death. That was such a moment of glory. If she were the sole judge of the boy's adventure, she'd grant him another step closer to divinity. But alas, she was not. And for the longest time, she couldn't comprehend why such a feat did not pass as a requirement. But maybe she was biased. After all, his soul was really captivating. She wondered if being limited to venture to the 9th would diminish the light. But when she laid her eyes on him, it didn't. Even when he felt insecure, it did not tarnish his soul at all. Amazing. Truly amazing. But it still didn't compare to the brightness when he faced the impossibles. Yes, waiting until he leveled up just to see him shining brightly again would be too long for her taste. His heart, his soul, the purity of them. She craved it. Otterl, I have a request for you. The trio of Belle, Lily, and Welf were killing monsters on the 9th floor. It was, after all, the limit that Ina had imposed on Belle, and nobody dared to break it first. Belle was sure, though, if he asked, they would follow him deeper. They were good friends. He didn't break it because he did not want to lie to Ina or disappoint her with the truth. As usual, Belle still continued praying when he had sufficient time, leaving Welf awkwardly standing around. At the same time, Lily collected the magic stones from the corpse. Belle, do you really not want to go down? Belle shook his head. I don't want to disappoint Miss Ina. She means well, but you won't be able to level up either if you're stuck on the 9th floor. Welf looked at him in concern. Arde tattled to me that you were distracted in your morning spar. Lily did not tattle. Lily was telling Master Welf out of concern, was Lily's reply. Then she continued her task. I'm okay, Welf. I won't let my guard down now that we're in the dungeon. Welf took one last look at him before he sighed. If you're sure. As Lily finished collecting all the magic stones, Belle grasped the sword on his waist. Something's not right. That made Lily and Welf tensed. Is it like last week? No, Belle replied curtly, answering Lily's question. I had no feelings telling me to stop. By all means, everything should be okay. Then, this is not a feeling, but my instinct telling me there's something. Just as Belle finished saying that, a pack of Hellhound came growling at them from the shadows. That's... Lily gasped in shock. What are middle floor's monsters doing here? Welf shouted in panic. Belle took out his sword. Hellhounds. Ina hadn't covered the middle floor's monsters, so he had zero knowledge on how to take them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Belle eyed the growling Hellhounds. 5 of them somehow appeared on the 9th floor. Doesn't matter. Me not puking my guts means this isn't dangerous. Maintain close formation. Protect Miss Arde. They followed Belle's instruction, and the 3 of them were back to back in the center of the Hellhound circling them. Wordlessly, 3 of the Hellhound opened their mouth. Master Belle, use your water. Breathe of water, 6 style. Twisting whirlpool. Belle circled Welf and Lily and twisted his body in the air, and swung his sword. The blade formed a whirlpool dome around them, protecting them from the fire breath. Immediately after that, Belle moved and struck one of the attacking Hellhounds with a well-placed slash, severing its neck. The other Hellhounds used the opportunity to attack Lily and Welf. Fortunately, Welf was quick to swat it aside with his sword. But his work wasn't done because another Hellhound leaped at them, and he could also sense another one moving from behind. On the corner of his eyes, Welf saw Belle moved, and he made his decision. Abandoning the leaping Hellhound, Welf focused his attention on the one behind him. Seeing that it was preparing itself to let out its fire breath, Welf quickly extended his arm. Burn, blasphemous deed. Will-o-wisp. He chanted his very own magic and targeted it to the Hellhound. The Hellhound exploded, leaving Welf ready to face the last one. Meanwhile, the leaping Hellhound was about to attack Lily when Belle quickly appeared and stood his ground. Breath of water, 7th style. Piercing raindrop. Exhaling his breath, Belle thrust his sword to the leaping Hellhound, killing it. The corpse stuck on his sword with how much power went behind it. Welf! Shouting for his trusty party member to cover for him, Belle kneeled down, pointing his sword to the ground. He then used his feet to slide the corpse away from the sword and assessed the situation. 2 to go. Welf could face one of them alone if he used his magic again. But the Hellhound should have seen what happened, and there was a chance it wouldn't fire its breath again. Lily! Back Welf up. Don't worry. Let him lead you. Belle then went to the one Hellhound left unattended. He changed his run with movements from the dance of the flowing current as he approached it, circling the Hellhound with his footwork. The Hellhound was left confused why so much water was appearing around it. Belle finished the dance with a slash, cutting its neck. At the same time, Welf faced another Hellhound and went on a defensive posture. He could use Will-o-wisp again, but only if it was using its fire breath. If it were to leap and bite him, he couldn't use it. The Hellhound did not open its mouth to use its fire breath at all. Instead, it leaped towards Welf, jaw open. Damn, Welf raised his sword to defend. But as it arced down towards him, something struck it from the side, knocking it down. When he looked, there was Lily who was gasping for air. Arde! 2-on-1 on it, Master Welf. Lead the way. Truthfully, she did not want to attack. She was terrified. But Belle placed his faith in her to help Welf. She wouldn't dare to disappoint him. So, with a heavy heart, she decided to be the bait. Her big backpack was already released from her back before she threw her dagger. This was all she could do for now. The Hellhound turned its attention to Lily now, leaving Welf enough time to get into position and attack it. The two then took turns harassing it to split its focus, although he had to dodge or parry the Hellhound's attack because Lily was slow. It was tedious, but slowly, its guard lowered, and Welf could see some openings he could exploit. Let's go. He slashed at its legs, leaving the monster howling in pain. Lily then took a deep breath and concentrate. Breathe in, breathe out. She slashed at its neck. It was not a clean slash, as her sword stuck halfway on its neck. With all her powers, Lily pushed it down, forcing it to cut the neck. Welf took it as a cue to help. His own sword followed Lily's and helped to cut the Hellhound's neck, killing it. Both looked around to Belle, wondering if he still needed help. But all they saw was his smiling face. Good job, Miss Arde, Welf. Belle then sheathed his sword and went to pray. Welf and Lily just sighed. She then went to collect the magic stones from the corpses. After a minute, Belle finished his prayer for the Hellhounds and approached Lily and Welf. I only got to see your last slash, Miss Arde. Keep up the good work. You will be able to cut its neck cleanly in the future. Lily nodded amidst her task. Although, Master Belle? In the heat of the moment you called Lily by Lily's first name. Could you call Lily by it again? Sure, Lily. Again. Lily. More. Lily. You sound like a child, Arde. Shut up, Master Welf. Don't spoil Lily's happiness. Belle blinked. You're happy just because I called you by your first name? It made Lily's cheek redden in embarrassment. Then is it all right if I call you Lily? You already called me Belle, anyway. Yes. There was a big grin on her face. Still, I have to wonder how the hell did Hellhounds appear on the 9th floor? Welf remarked, seeing the corpse of the Hellhound turned into ashes. Is there possibly an incursion? I'm not knowledgeable enough, but I don't think the number warrants any serious warning on an incursion. There might be some more anomalies, however, so keep your guard up. Belle told the others, who nodded at him. In the end, no other irregular monster sighting graced them, to which they sighed in relief. After killing more goblins and kobolds, they finally decided to end the day. Still wary of the dungeons acting up, they told Ina about it to warn the higher-ups in the guild. She almost did not believe him until Welf showed her the fangs dropped by the Hellhound. Her tone changed into a more serious one after that. She asked them where they found it, what else, and many more questions to ascertain the threat level of the anomalous activity. After the matter with Ina was finished, they exchanged the magic stones and went for the day. Welf promised Belle that his wooden sword would be finished tomorrow. Belle couldn't wait for it. He held no illusion any wooden sword would match Ryu's own wooden sword. Still, at least he finally could face Ryu and Ace without Peaceseeker. Ever since he named his sword, he subconsciously held back whenever he fought non-monsters. Whenever he swung his sword, His mind always went back to the purpose of the sword. To bring peace to those he faced. There was no way he could bring Ryu and Ace to peace with Peaceseeker, right? So his body always held back even when he knew that they were unreachable at his current level. He guessed it was partially why Ryu felt hesitation in his swings, together with Aina banning him from going further. 3 days had passed since their encounter with the Hellhounds. The guild put up a request to investigate the appearance of monsters not in the place they should, which Aina told them was picked up by Ganesha Familia. While the result of the 3 days' investigation hadn't come, Belle's party faced a pack of Almiraj, which they dispatched with some struggle. Mainly because Welf and Lily always compared them with him for some reason. No, he would not acknowledge that his color scheme was similar to an Almiraj. They were cute. He was not. And dungeon worms. Of course, they also reported it to Aina. But apparently, nobody else had met any irregular monster sightings on the 9th floor. Not even some adventurers who overheard the rumors and tried to hunt them to gain quick Valis. Only their party met them. Today the trio was a little late going to the dungeon. Belle felt that Lily progressed enough, so he moved on to the next phase of her training. Now that Lily knew how to keep her breathing rhythm as she swung her sword, it was time for her to step it up and learn the full focus breathing. That, however, meant that Belle wanted her to get to a certain point before they entered the dungeon. They stomped their way through the floors, though Belle still did not let Lily fight. She only learned the basic of the basics of how to swing a sword. Granted, Belle only taught her that and was more focused on the breathing part. But because Belle knew that, he did not allow Lily to fight. Lily herself did not feel like Belle was coddling her. She knew her limit. She was still weaker than monsters on the 9th floor. Maybe if it was the 1st or the 2nd floor, she could try defeating 1 or 2 for training. But Belle hadn't told her to do so, so she did not. Maybe she should bring it up to Belle one of these days. They killed some monsters on their way to the 9th floor. However, the moment they entered the 9th floor, they knew something was different than usual. No, Belle's battle-proven feeling did not trigger anything because even Welf and Lily could feel the air. Warily, the party walked towards their destination, noting that the adventurers who investigated the sighting of the irregular monsters were nowhere to be seen. Did they move away to the lower floors? Because the only alternative was that they were investigating the upper floors. However, Belle did not see them when they previously went through the upper floors. There was also the fact that no monster swarmed them as they walked on the 9th floor. Not even one. Welf paid attention to the wall the whole time because monsters were born from it, but no, there were no telltale of monsters born from it. It was as if there were nothing that can disturb the atmosphere. The eerie silence that permeated the room suffocated Lily. She forgot her breath and choked. "Lily, you okay?" "Lily's okay," she replied, panting. The tension is killing Lily. This never happened before. Even when Lily was faced with dangerous situations, Lily never felt like this. She took out a bottle of water and drank it. All the while, Belle smiled at her. "Is there something, Master Belle?" Lily asked after she finished drinking and concentrated on her breathing again. "Nothing, Lily." Belle turned his attention away from her. It wouldn't do to stroke Lily's ego by saying that her battle awareness and instinct were starting to awaken. She still had a long way to go. Seeing his first student progressing this much, though, Belle felt so proud of her. It also solidified the fact that he should be able to teach any new members, provided they don't give up early. However, all the amusement Belle felt quickly lost after they heard a crackling roar. Wordlessly, the three nodded and picked up their pace. Just from the roar, it sounded like this time the monsters were dangerous. They ran, no monsters hindering their way. Lily gasped when she saw some blood on the dungeon walls. Whatever they are, there was a chance that they already killed some adventurers. Belle did not personally know the adventurers investigating the floor, but he could imagine that this was the reason why they did not see any of them on their way. "Victims," Welf muttered under his breath. Belle resolved himself to pay respect for them all above ground. They died doing their best on duty. It was something deserving of everyone's respect. They heard another roar. This time it was much louder than before. They were close. After a few seconds of running, they arrived at the scene of devastation. A single minotaur was slamming an adventurer down and then smashed its weapon, a big cleaver, to him. Dead silence. Belle, Lily, and Welf could not say anything, seeing the carnage in front of them. Aside from the fresh corpse, there were bloodstains and chunky remains of humans around it. The sight should fill Belle's mind with fury. But, look at the minotaur. It roared again, same as the last 2 times Belle and the rest heard it. However, now that nothing separated him and the minotaur, the roar wasn't the roar of supremacy they assumed before. In fact, it was like pain. Belle muttered, coming to a realization. His eyes trailed the minotaur's humongous body, seeing so many wounds. It was in pain, so it lashed out in fear. To someone like Belle, who always faced enmity and fury whenever he looked at a monster in the eye, the situation felt wrong. Belle gripped the handle of his sword. Master Belle? Don't tell Lily you gonna face it. Lily looked at him with a pleading eye. Let's get out of here, Master Belle. This is above our level. She's right, Belle. This is not something we can handle. Even the level 2 adventurers investigating this case were wiped out. That was the correct choice. There was no need to get involved. The guild was investigating this irregular activity of middle floor's monsters being found on the higher floor. But, even so, Belle gritted his teeth. It's wrong, he began. As someone who vowed to bring peace to the monster I slay, I couldn't run away. The minotaur is hurting. It was afraid. I'm sorry, Lily, Welf, but I have to bring it to peace. Belle unsheathed Peaceseeker. Or else I would go back on my words. Honor is meaningless in front of death. I won't die, Belle shouted. He did not mean to. Seeing Lily flinched made him widen his eyes in realization. How many times had Lily been shouted to by her previous parties? Belle took a breath and concentrate, feeling the power rising inside of him. I'm grateful to have such a caring student like you, Lily, but I promise you I won't die. Belle looked at her, conveying all his emotion to the palum he took up as a disciple. My senses do not tell me this is dangerous. That calmed Lily a little. It was a baseless statement that he wouldn't die just because he did not sense any danger. But somehow it was the one that brought her comfort. Just be careful, Master Belle. Belle nodded. His attention went to Welf. If Arde is sure. Welf sighed. But please don't try using my sword on it, alright? I know my limit as a blacksmith, and this is clearly something that I know my weapon couldn't handle. Belle nodded. The wooden replica of his sword that Welf made for him was still with Lily. Besides, this was a fight with a monster. No need to hold back by using a safe wooden sword. We'll watch in a safe place. Come on, Master Welf. After confirming that they left the vicinity to a safer area to watch him, Belle turned to the rampaging minotaur. He approached it carefully before pointing his sword to the minotaur. Sensing him, the minotaur turned and roared. It swung its cleaver to Belle, its red eyes looking at him with fear. Belle parried the attack without looking away, searching for something in the minotaur's eyes. To the minotaur, Belle was another creature who sought its harm. Belle gritted his teeth. That was wrong. And besides, most of the minotaur's victims were weaker than it. Only the investigating adventurers were stronger or on par than the minotaur. But he guessed rational thought out of the consideration when you were in pain. The root of the problem was the fact that the adventurers who got killed were not strong enough to completely kill it, only dealing some damage to the minotaur, resulting in the monster in pain. So then, what should he do? The minotaur swung once more, and Belle, for the first time, broke eye contact with the monster. He looked at the incoming weapon, his own hand ready to parry it and then counterattack. But, instead of parrying the incoming swing, Belle just put his sword top down in front of him as it came, using his right hand to grab the tip on the bottom. As the clash of weapons came, the result was obvious. Belle's body was thrown as the momentum behind the swing penetrated his block. His body hit the dungeon wall with no cushion behind him. Master Belle! He heard Lily shouted in concern but ignored it. His block was a success. It minimized the damage taken by him. The momentum, however, was another thing entirely. He had to adjust his body in the air, or else the same thing could happen again. That was right. Even though he could parry and counter, he chose to block and defend. Attacking it would just give it more pain, which would result in a wilder rampage. If he could contain its fear by not attacking, he knew he could kill it without it feeling any more pain. That was the path he took. After all, he wanted to bring it to peace. Lily gripped the hem of her cloak, concern all over her face. She did not understand. Belle could easily dodge or parry that strike. Why didn't he do so? Master Belle. I got a feeling Belle is doing Belle. Welf voiced out his mind, to which her ears picked it. What do you mean, Master Welf? No, hold on. Lily's mind went overdrive. When he had decided to face the minotaur, Belle never once told them that he would kill it. All he said was that he had to bring it to peace. And sure, the quickest way that Belle had done over and over again was killing them quickly. However, there must be another thing to consider that Belle decided to not do so. She vaguely remembered Belle saying something about pain. Her eyes quickly went towards the fight. Despite clearly having the advantage of the situation, the minotaur did not pursue Belle. It stayed in its position, heads looking towards Belle, who only got up from the failed block. Why didn't it follow up the attack? She wondered out loud, hoping that Welf would have any inclination. Yeah. Something's not right about the situation. Welf agreed with her assessment. Look, Arde. The big wound on its leg. It can't move, she concluded after seeing the injured leg of the minotaur pointed out by Welf. So that was why it did not attack Belle. Master Belle should have the advantage. But, instead of rushing towards the minotaur or even putting on a stance for a breathing style, Belle only walked, approaching the minotaur. Why? She couldn't understand. The past weeks under his tutelage, she got to know his persona as a teacher. In the dungeon, she got to know his persona as an adventurer. Then, in the abandoned church, she got to know his persona as a family. There must be something she could gather from it to understand what Belle was trying to do. As expected, when Belle approached it, the minotaur launched another strike. Belle blocked it again with his sword, but as he flew, he adjusted his body position to land his feet on the dungeon wall, negating any damage. That's good, Lily breathed in relief. Seconds later, she scolded herself as she dropped the full focus breathing. Belle would be disappointed in her. Their attention was taken when they heard several footsteps. Lily raised her eyebrow when the visage of Ace Wallenstein entered the scene. Supporter, Arte? Lily nodded. While the sight of the sword princess herself did not faze her anymore, her knowing her name was a little surprising. You know her, Ace? Behind Ace Vannergand, Bet Loga appeared, questioning her. Ace ignored him to ask Lily a question instead. Where's Belle? At the question, Lily did not answer. She only turned her head to see the fight. Belle had not given up trying to approach the minotaur. And the minotaur still did not change its stance. It kept swinging its cleaver to repel Belle. That's it. Welf, Ace, and Bet looked at her. She couldn't help but blush upon being the center of the attention. Belle needs help, Ace muttered. But before she could dash to Belle's side, her arms were caught by Lily. Oi, Palum, what the hell are you doing? Bet raised his eyebrow. You have some kind of grudge against that weakling? Belle was thrown away to the wall again, and he once again landed feet first on the wall. He did not change his approach. There was no aggressive movement from him. All he did was approaching the minotaur casually. No, Miss Sword Princess. Master Belle does not need our help, Lily declared firmly. Ah, you understand what he's trying to do, Arte? Welf excitedly asked her, to which she nodded in response. Lily thinks Lily understands. Lily doesn't know what Master Belle has in his mind, but Lily feels like Lily can understand him. Please, Miss Sword Princess, let Master Belle handle this one. Reluctantly, Ace nodded. She did not, however, sheathed her sword. It was still ready in case the worst happened. Bet also lost all tension in his muscle and slouched in relaxation. If that weakling's trying to die, I'm not gonna save him. Lily glared at that statement. Master Belle is not weak, Bet baited her. Trying to die. Then what the hell is that? Lily ignored him to see Belle still not doing anything but approaching it, blocking its attack, and then landing safely on the ground or on the wall. Rinse and repeat. Soon, more members of Loki Familia appeared. There was the Captain Braver Findame, the Nine Hell, Reverial Joes Alf, Amazon, Tiona Hiriot, and lastly Jormungand, Tioni Hiriot. What is the situation here? I had a bad feeling, so I sent someone over first. Ace. Finn assessed the situation. Minotaur. Ace pointed to the fight. So the rumors about higher-level monsters appearing above their usual floors are true. Reveria made a remark. It was deemed as an unproven rumor because the guild did not find anything else aside from the report. Welf raised his hand, catching everyone's attention. He looked like he did not want to, though. All those reports are from us. Since a few days ago, we always found monsters not belonging to the 9th floor. We fought hellhounds, a bunch of Almiraj dungeon worms, and finally today, we stumbled upon that minotaur killing adventurers. Reveria looked at him critically, which made him even more nervous. Hey, Ace, why didn't you help the boy? He's clearly struggling. Tiona moved closer, to Ace's side, to watch the fight. Also, isn't he a level 1? Miss Arte here stopped me. Finn looked at her. Miss Arte, was it? Why did you stop Ace? Lily's eyes turned back to the fight when she heard the clash of weapons. The situation hadn't changed. He's not struggling, Tiona. He did not put up a fight at all, Tioni remarked as she also came to Ace's side. Well, Finn smiled at her. To begin with, Master Belle is weird. As Master Welf said to Lily earlier, Master Belle is currently doing a Master Belle thing. Those not familiar with him might not understand why. Hell, Lily is still not sure Lily fully understands, even though Lily is the closest to him. Belle once again walked towards the Minotaur, only for it to swing its cleaver, probably taken from one of the victims. And what is a Master Belle thing he's doing now? Finn asked her again. Master Belle is trying to pacify it. That answer stunned everyone. That's... Ah, you're right. Welf came to a realization. Injured. Reveria turned her attention to the Minotaur, only to agree with Welf's assessment. I see. And what will he do if he succeeded? Bet asked her, skeptical. Lily is uncertain, but Lily believes he'll kill it at that point. How needlessly cruel. To present a friendly front only to backstab it. Reveria frowned at her answer. Ah, not like that. She quickly corrected her answer. Master Belle has one style to kill summon something painlessly. Lily believes he'll use it to kill the Minotaur, to bring it to peace. Granted, she made that guess because she once read Belle's written book that contained the story in his dream. But she believed it was the course of action Belle would take, considering all the facts about Belle. His kindness, his propensity to pray for the monsters, his dream, his idol. Everything pointed out to her that it was what Belle would do. Finn focused on her words. Bring it to peace? Huh? Interesting. But will interfere if it looked like he'd fail. Lily looked at her fellow Palum. Master Belle wouldn't fail. Such a faith. Finn smiled. He then turned his attention back to the fight. I hope that faith is rewarded. She did not answer. She knew Belle wouldn't fail. The intensity of the swing has lessened. Belle noted inside his mind as he landed after being thrown by the momentum after blocking the Minotaur attack. 5 or more times and it would relent. 5 more times Belle approached it, and 5 more times the Minotaur swung its cleaver to repel him even though he projected no hostile intention. Belle took a deep breath, feeling the power inside him as he breathed. Looking at the Minotaur in the eye, Belle smiled. It's fine. The Minotaur replied with a roar. It wasn't the painful wail, nor was it the one shouting its superiority. Instead, it was a warning roar. The Minotaur feared another threat. It's fine, he once again said to the Minotaur, never once holding any hope for it to understand. I know you're in pain. I won't give you any more of the pain. The Minotaur began to swing again. But, Belle continued, dodging the swing for the first time instead of blocking the attack. I'll bring you to peace. I swear it. The Minotaur roared. That's why. Belle shouted, not wanting to lose his momentum. Stop attacking me. Belle held no illusion. He knew the Minotaur wouldn't understand him. If humans and monsters could understand one another, there wouldn't be any conflict between them. The fact that for thousands of years, humans and monsters fight meant that this time was no exception. However, once in a blue moon, a miracle might occur. This was one of them. The Minotaur looked at his eyes and stopped his swing. His body went slack. Belle smiled. He did not understand how it could understand him. Maybe it did not understand him at all. Maybe it was the accumulation of all his passive approaches making him appeared harmless. Or perhaps it had no energy left to move. He did not care. All he knew was that the Minotaur stopped its attack. Thank you for trusting me. Belle went on a stance. In response, I shall end your suffering. He breathed and moved. His feet kicked the ground, and he dashed towards the still Minotaur. His grip on his sword tightened, and then he jumped high. Breath of water, 5th style. Merciful rain of a dry day. Falling down towards the Minotaur, he took out his sword and slashed its neck. As his feet reached the ground, so did rain fell down on the dark cavern, gently washing all the Minotaur's pain. And when its severed head touched the ground, it was no more. Belle looked towards the headless corpse of the Minotaur, proudly sitting, but offered its neck for him. As he promised, he used the sword's strike of kindness to painlessly bring the Minotaur to peace. He closed his eyes and put his hand together. May it be freed of any fear. May it be released from any pain. When he finished, he looked back towards the place Lily and Welf used to observe him. However, he was a little surprised to see some high-level adventurers from Loki Familia together with them, looking at him weirdly. His eyes, however, stopped wandering when he saw Ace. Ah, Miss Ace. Hello. You're amazing, Belle. Ahaha. Thank you for the compliment, Miss Ace. But it wasn't that amazing. One of the Amazons jumped towards him. Hey, what was that? That was cool. You're a level 1, right? Belle felt a little overwhelmed by her. Idiot, you're bothering him. Captain. Now that the matter has been resolved, shouldn't we continue? The other Amazon, her sister, dragged her off him and went back to the blonde Palum. Yes, congratulations, that was a moving sight, but we have an expedition to do, so we shall bid you farewell. Good luck on your future endeavor, Belle Cranel. Belle blinked. He knew his name. See you later, Belle. Ace raised her hand reluctantly. So cute. Too cute. Arg. It damaged him more than the Minotaur. The Loki Familia returned to the higher floor as Belle waved his hand to reply to Ace's goodbye. Master Belle, help Lily cut off parts of the corpse, please. You too, Master Welf. Lily called him. Her knife wasn't enough to get the magic stone inside its muscular body. What about your sword, Lily? Belle went back to the corpse. He did not expect Lily to hug him tightly. He just laughed sheepishly at that. Master Belle, idiot. Belle just looked at Welf with a smile. Arde was the first one to understand your action, Welf said. Even so, her logical mind held back her emotion. Huh? Belle stroked her head. After Lily released him, They cut down the minotaur's body until the big magic stones were revealed. Lily gaped at the size. It wasn't humongous, but it was still several times bigger than the normal magic stones she collected from the monsters on the upper floors. The three then looked around the area to find some mementos from the dead victim. It was the least they could do, as the corpse couldn't even be called a corpse. The most polite term Belle could use was remains. The dead adventurers' remains were too messy to be buried. Everyone, would you mind if I cremate them? I want their familia to give a burial, to honor them who fell on duty. Lily sighed. We'll make sure you're uninterrupted then. As it turned out, no monsters bothered them when Belle gathered the remains to several groups and danced to summon fire. Welf was dumbfounded, while Lily just sighed, knowing that no monster would strike them. In fact, she had a feeling that when they went back to the surface, the situation would be the same. Belle had once brought a dead body to the surface, and no monster attacked them back then. She did not know if Belle's prayer was heard by the dungeon or not, but the fact was that it happened. Lily's prediction came true. No monsters attacked them on their way to the surface. Welf kept muttering things like impossible, no way, and more denial words. If she were sentimental, it was like the dungeon honored Belle's decision. But that was impossible, right? The dungeon hated adventurers. It hated the pest that dared to venture to it. The fact they were not attacked by any monsters was just a coincidence. Right? She thought so. The alternative was that Belle just proved several crazy theories correct. She did not dare to think more about it. They entered the guild, and Belle immediately went to Ina. Good afternoon, Belle. She greeted them with a smile. It quickly turned into a frown once she saw the grim expression on Belle's face. What's the matter? Minotaur, Belle simply replied, showing the minotaur horn that they got as a drop item. Several people died. I think some of them are the adventurers investigating. Ina gasped. Despite Belle and his party reporting the monsters beyond their level, no one else had died before today. We brought their ashes. They can't even be called corpses anymore, so I decided to cremate them. I want their familias to be able to honor their remains. Lily? Lily nodded and put several small bags containing the ashes. What about the minotaur? You killed it? Ina asked, to which Belle nodded. She sighed in relief. Thank you, Belle, for not getting killed. Do you have some tokens to identify them? She pointed to the bags of ashes. We did, but I'm still not sure what familias they were from. The investigation was done by Ganesha Familia, right? This sword belongs to this person. Belle continued naming the items they took and put them together with the corresponding ashes. Ina nodded. Thank you, Belle. The guild will contact each involved familias. You truly do us a service today, bringing their ashes. While it is unusual as Far Eastern burial culture isn't practiced widely here in Orrerio, I believe some deities would like to bury the remains of their children. Thank you, Belle. Belle shook his head. It's the least I could do to honor them. By the way, Miss Ina, can you notify me if their familias decided to hold a burial? I'd ask them if I can join the procession. Ina nodded. Take care, Belle. Thank you, Miss Ina. Miss Advisor, Lily called Ina when she was about to leave to report to her superior. Loki Familia also witness it. If any of them blame Master Belle, please tell them that Loki Familia witnessed that Master Belle is the one fighting the Minotaur. Lily. When someone was grieving, most likely, their mind would latch to anything easily accessible to blame. She wouldn't be surprised if some of the gods or goddesses would blame Belle simply because he was the one that brought them their children remains. She did not want Belle to face such situations. Belle was truly kind and compassionate. But because of that, Belle always expected kindness and compassion from other people. Kindness and compassion that he wouldn't always receive. Understood. Any name. Miss Supporter. Braver. Findame. Nine Hell. Reverial Joe's Alf. Actually, most of their executives were there. That's some big names. Sadly, they couldn't testify soon, Lily thinks. They said something about an expedition. Noted, Miss Supporter. Thank you for looking out for Belle. Ina smiled at her. Someone have to do it, you know? She shyly smiled. Both gained an understanding of one another. After that, they exchanged the magic stones, netting them many valis, mainly from the intact Minotaur's magic stone. They parted ways with Welf, who told Belle and Lily that he would forge something great with the Minotaur horn they got. He also mentioned that seeing Belle gently cutting the monster's neck inspired him to make something. Lily just looked at him with a "Lily told you so" expression that made Welf try to grab her in embarrassment. Belle just smiled seeing their antics. It seemed that he was missing some context. But that was fine. When they arrived at the abandoned church, Hestia immediately greeted them. So, what is it today? A Minotaur, Belle glumly replied as he opened his shirt. Belle, you're so forward. Hestia playfully covered her eyes with her hand. Come on, goddess. At least act better. You've seen my upper body too many times. But Miss Supporter here hasn't. Hestia grinned as she pointed out the red-faced Lily. Ah! Belle's face also reddened in embarrassment. For the past few days, Belle had asked for a status update in a hurry after they got home. But this was the first time he immediately opened his shirt without saying anything. Anyway, goddess, please update my status. I can feel I got a big jump today. You will, Hestia sighed as she took her position on the bed, sitting upon Belle's back. You've been facing monsters above your level. You will definitely get a big jump. You're still aiming for a level up? Huh. Miss Lion said that I need to challenge myself. I've been facing monsters above my level and won each time, but I still haven't leveled up. Of course, I'm eager. Yes, yes. Hestia pricked her finger with a pocket knife and let the blood drop to Belle's back. What she saw astounded her. What happened, goddess? Belle Cranel. Level 1, Level 2. Strength. SS 1055. SS 1066. Endurance. S 902. S 988. Dexterity. SS 1076. SSS 1109. Agility. SSS 1123. SSS 1193. Magic, I0. Magic. Skill. Liaris Freeze. Rapid growth. Continued desire results in continued growth. Stronger desire results in stronger growth. Elemental respiration. Materialize elements when striking an enemy under certain conditions. Soothe Belle. Presence will not agitate those born in the dungeon. Development ability. Luck. Hunter. Swordsman. She quickly copied the status to a sheet, of course. She did not forget to erase Liaris Freeze, and presented it to Belle. She saw Lily took a sneak peek at the sheet, and then both of them gasped. Level up. Impossible. Belle. She called her only child after a few seconds to let them register what they read. What did you do differently? You also gained a new skill. Belle and Lily looked at each other. There was something between them, she knew, but as close as she was to Belle, there was a big cliff separating her and Belle, and that was the dungeon. I guess. Today my aim is not killing the minotaur. I did kill it, but it was at the end. Today, the only thing in my mind was how to bring the monster to peace. There was no struggle, Lily continued. The minotaur's leg was injured, so it couldn't move. It stayed in one spot. Master Belle kept trying to approach it peacefully, and every time he did, the minotaur swung its big sword to him. I blocked it, of course, so I got no damage. But that minotaur is suffering. I want to stop its suffering. So I keep trying to approach it. Belle took off from Lily's explanation. The strangest thing is, for some reason, the monster, in the end, did stop its attack. It was like it tried to let Master Belle finish him. So I used the fifth style to kill it painlessly. All I had in my mind was a relief. I was so happy I could bring it to peace without unnecessarily adding more pain. I see. Hestia nodded. Belle's path was indeed different from an ordinary adventurer. Any typical adventurer would struggle and overcome the challenge presented before them. The Exilia would tell their deities the glorious triumph and deem them ready to get one step closer to divinity. Belle was different. He rarely struggled, even when facing monsters beyond him. One time he did, he overcame them quite easily. There was no glorious triumph, and as much as Hestia wanted to, she couldn't get him to take the step closer to divinity. She supposed it was because he was technically a reincarnation of a super swordsman. Today he was different. There was no struggle, so there was no glorious triumph. Nor was there an underdog victory that impressed the divine. Today, all Belle did was simply reaching out to someone else and offered his kindness. Normally, it wouldn't impress anyone. An act of kindness was cheap. Anybody could do it. But not anybody could offer it to a monster like Belle just did. If that did not awe the gods, Hestia would knock on their doors and get into a fistfight with them. No wonder Belle got that skill. Still, Hestia grinned. How does it feel to have a skill named after yourself? Belle. Belle spluttered. Gee goddess, that's. Soothe Belle, huh? Presence will not agitate those born in the dungeon. Congrats, Master Belle. You're so kind even to monsters that your fauna acknowledges it. Lily. Belle could only shout Lily's name as he was teased. Still, Lily wonders how the skill works. Let's try it out the first time tomorrow. About the development ability, Hestia tried to get their attention. I think you should ask your advisor about it tomorrow. Then we can officially level you up. I want you to choose luck. But you're a swordsman, and Hunter might make it easier for you to get magic stones. In the end, it's up to you, but please consider luck. Belle. Both of them looked at the bottom of the status sheet, noting the 3 development abilities Belle could choose. Lily agrees. Lily never heard of luck. Hunter is rare, but people have it. Swordsman is the same, although more people have it, Lily thinks. Lily offered her own opinion. Right. Thank you, Lily, goddess. They ate dinner after that. Belle, though, couldn't stop smiling all the while until he slept. Finally, he was one step closer to reach the boy's back. Chapter 8. 1 week before Belle's fight with the Minotaur. It was a quiet evening in the U village. Asfi Alandromeda found herself accompanying Hermes as his bodyguard because he had a personal delivery request. He did not want to delegate the task to their familia members. To Asfi, that just meant Hermes was about to do something shady, and she wanted to be there to at least protect him if something were to happen. Who knew? It was Hermes, after all. Their walks brought them to a small tavern. While Asfi had never been to U village before, it wasn't a big village, so seeing the small tavern did not shock Asfi. When Hermes entered it, she had to sigh. Even when he was supposedly working, Hermes still couldn't help but play around. The sight that greeted them when they entered was quite surprising. Inside the small tavern in the quiet village, the pub was noisy and full of customers. Today's sort of a celebration for the villagers, so they're having fun, Hermes explained, not surprised in the slightest. Have you visited this place before, Lord Hermes? Nope, but my contact is here for a while, and he explained some things in our correspondence. Did that mean their meeting place was this tavern? Also, since when did Lord Hermes got normal messages without her vetting them first? Somehow this set her mind at unease. Too many red flags. Her god was about to do something shady. They took a seat at the bar stool, where Hermes immediately ordered an ale. Local specialty, he mentioned to her. She herself did not order anything in fear of failing to restrain Hermes should something happen. Her intuition was correct. No, it was not precisely her intuition. It was her experience of being Hermes's captain. Not even 10 minutes into his drink, Hermes joined the festivities and bought everybody 2 rounds of drinks. She just sighed. Please keep him here. I shall be back with the money, Asfi told the bartender before exiting the tavern. Because of his stunt, now she had to dig into the Hermes emergency fund every member of their familia always had when traveling with their god. Hermes took a glass of beer he had ordered and offered it to someone beside him. Now that Asfi's gone for a while, let's talk Zeus. Taking the glass offered to him, an old man grinned. It's not every day you're trying to reach me, Hermes. I couldn't help it. Your grandson. He's blowing all my expectations away. Hermes's eyes glinted in delight as he took the surprised expression on Zeus's face. I was pretty sure he's going to vanish into mediocrity, Zeus stated, taking a shot. No matter how many times I tried to nudge him into heroism, he never went for it. There's always family for him. I thought for sure that when he joined a familia, he would be content about it and never tried for more. Judging from your grin, I was wrong. Hermes frowned. I thought you trained him in Far Eastern swordsmanship? Or at least had someone taught him? Zeus blinked. No, like I said, when I dangled some heroic piece of a tale in front of him, he never took it. It's all about family. When he told Belle the tale of Argonaut, he'd always focused on the relationship between Argonaut and Fina. When he regaled him the story of Dungeon Oratoria, he was focused on Albert and the people he helped. The same could be said about the adventures of Garland. It's why I faked my death. That boy considers our bond to be sacred, the bond of a grandfather and his grandson. If I didn't fake my death, he would never leave and try to join another family familia. Then, who taught him swordsmanship? He matched a level for who was holding herself back in pure swordsmanship. They looked at each other. Okay, so he's talented. That's good. But you can see it, can't you? His interest lies not in heroism. Zeus took another drink. But he's still a good person. I suppose you're raising him right. If there's one thing I didn't raise him right, it was his manly desire, Zeus lamented. He's too obsessed with familial relationships that he never considered his love life. He does have a crush on a girl, Hermes offered. Really? Zeus grabbed Hermes's shoulder. My little Belle is falling in love? The Belle, who never even looks at the romance between a hero and the heroine, and instead looks at the familial bond the hero had with people around him. That Belle? Why yes, he confirmed to Zeus. Zeus only sat down in contemplation. He changes so much, I guess my decision is correct. What familia did he join, Hermes? Don't tell me it's Freya? Anyone but her. She's going to prevent him from having his own harem. No, Hermes chuckled. He's under Hestia's care. Hearing that, Zeus's expression turned somber. Hestia, huh? I guess I'll see him soon. Hermes furrowed his eyebrow in confusion. What could Zeus mean? He gasped when he arrived at one conclusion. Olympia. I'll have to change some of my plans for watching over Olympia if Belle is with Hestia. Zeus put the empty glass on the table. Another round, bartender. Ah. He's not going to accept the situation, Hermes winced. Olympia was a clusterfuck if he had to put it into a word. And the god beside him was not absolved of any responsibility. That's right. That boy is obsessed with family. There is no way he could be persuaded to let Hestia purify the flame, not even if the request came from Hestia herself. Zeus sighed. His interest lies not in heroism. If he had to choose between saving the world or his family, he'd save his family. A selfish hero. I like it. Hermes grinned. He's not the ideal hero the world needs. Zeus nodded. That is if he considered himself one. I'm sure he won't. Belle is like that. Zeus's statement was correct, Hermes thought. He truly knew everything about his grandson. Think I can nudge him here and there to a heroic path? Hermes asked, to which Zeus only laughed. You can try, certainly, but no matter what you do, he'll choose his family in the end. Try to go around that. Hermes finally took the first sip of his own ale. So you don't really mind him becoming God's entertainment? When you say it like that. But no matter what I say, he's going to be your source of entertainment, isn't he? Be careful when playing with fire, Hermes. Hermes's eyes widened. Zeus knew. Gods can lie to each other. He must be lying when he said Belle didn't train under his supervision. I'll be careful, Zeus. There were few seconds of silence after that. Hermes was smirking inside his mind. Despite being away from politics for a long time, Zeus was still a formidable opponent. Well, enough about that. Tell me, how did you meet Belle? Hermes. Zeus took a drink of the newly refilled glass of beer. So there I was honoring my dead familia members when I saw someone hanging over unnamed gravestones. When I looked closer, it was to see a white-haired boy cleaning Alphea's makeshift gravestone. Zeus spurted out the drink on his mouth. Coughing in shock, he looked at Hermes. What? Got you. Hermes laughed for a minute. That was not a lie, however. He was cleaning Alphea and Zard's gravestones. Seeing someone close enough to resemble her standing over her gravestone, my interest was piqued. So I approached him, and we introduced ourselves. What do you know? Fate seems to like irony. A boy obsessed with family unknowingly visited his relative's graveyard. Zeus chuckled, finding Hermes's first meeting with Belle ironic. Not to mention Hestia's domain is hearth, and therefore include home and family. Hermes followed. He's quite something else. Hermes kept regaling Zeus with the tale of Belle in Oreo while, in turn, Zeus told him about Belle growing up. Unfortunately, Asphi soon came back with the money, so Zeus and Hermes bid goodbye. After Asphi paid all the tabs, Hermes motioned her to get out together with him. They walked towards the inn. Lord Hermes, you sent me away to do some shady things. That was not a question. Hermes just laughed in response. You know me so well, my favorite child. You have no favorites. I know you said this to others. Jewish. Hermes playfully made a motion that his heart was struck. At least play along, Asphi. You're no fun. Is it at least not incriminate our familia's reputation? Nope, I can assure you. That's not reassuring at all, she deadpanned. Honestly, why was her god always like this? 3 days before Belle's fight with the Minotaur, Otterl believed in the wisdom of his goddess. She was his everything, and he paid her back with his full faith. However, he did not understand why his goddess was so taken by her new findings. From the first time he laid his eyes on the boy, there was nothing remarkable about him. An innocent face that never faced an insurmountable challenge. A lean body that was not the fruit of years of training. A pair of red eyes full of wonder looking around. Otterl did not pretend to understand his goddess's fascination with the boy. He knew his goddess was wise beyond mortals. If something was captivating her about the boy, then the boy was probably worth it, even if he did not see anything. It was why when his goddess requested him to run some errand, he accepted it, even after knowing that it was about the boy. Were it Alan or any other members, he had no doubt they would try to hurt him in order to quell their goddess's interest in the boy. Alan and similarly minded members were fools who did not fully understand their goddess's wisdom. Can you bring middle floor's monsters for him to face? I want him to face challenges. Challenges that he will not face before he level up. That was his goddess's request. So Otterl followed them from behind, and while they killed monsters on the upper floor, Otterl slipped down to the middle floor. His first destination was the 13th floor. A pack of hellhounds should be sufficient to challenge him. As he arrived there, however, there was one problem. He couldn't control them. He had no skills in taming. Most of the time, they died with one swing. So he let them bite him in the arms and feet and dragged them above towards the 9th floor. He had to knock them out by bonking them in the head to release their bite from him. He took a position outside of their purview to observe. He wanted to know why his goddess was so taken by him. There was nothing remarkable about him. Soon enough, the fainted packs of hellhounds opened their eyes and looked for their nearest target. And then Belle Cranel's party arrived at the scene. Good. He watched as Belle Cranel twisted and slashed, trails of water circling them, protecting them from the hellhound's fire. Then he slashed at one of them. Fast for a level 1, but still nothing remarkable. In the end, the party killed them all with no casualties. But Otterl still couldn't understand his goddess. He left the dungeon and reported back to Freya about the task. Lady Freya, I had challenged him with hellhounds. He kneeled in front of Freya in her abode. Very good, Otterl. I shall see if it's enough. He still did not raise his head, but he knew Freya was looking at the boy. It's not enough. That boy's soul hadn't changed. Otterl frowned. Lady Freya, if my lady allows it, I shall bring him another challenge tomorrow. Raise your head, Otterl. She looked him in the eye. What was currently on her mind, he wondered. I understand. I shall allow it. Otterl nodded and left the room. But before he closed the door, his goddess called him. Otterl, thank you. She knew. She knew that Otterl did not see anything in the boy but kept doing it for her. She knew it and she appreciated it. Otterl shook his head. No need to thank me, my lady. Oh, but I believe an appreciation is in order, she said with a smile. It's what he would have done, after all. A fufu. Even if she did not say anything, Otterl had a feeling about the he she mentioned. Belle Cranel. Despite his appearance and his unremarkable skill, he held power to even influence a goddess. He had to keep an eye on him. 2 days before Belle's fight with the Minotaur, Otterl went into the dungeon again. Fulfilling his promise to Freya, he intended for Belle Cranel to face another challenge from the middle floors. However, another problem arose. Around the 9th floor, there were a lot of adventurers belonging to Ganesha Familia, gathering information about strange activities of the dungeon. This would make his job harder. From what he observed, though, it wasn't the more powerful members. It was mostly the rank and file adventurers they had, no one worth mentioning. While this would make his job harder, he could cope with it. For his goddess, he'd overcome anything. And so he slipped down the 14th floor and gathered a pack of Almiraj. Their agility proved to be Otterl's worst enemy when all he wanted to do was to corral them and brought them to the 9th floor. After countless tries and minor, unnoticeable bruises, but Otterl wouldn't admit it, he finally managed to bring them to the 9th floor. He patiently waited until the Ganesha Familia members dispersed. He knew Belle Cranel's party would sweep the 9th floor off of any monsters based on yesterday. It was only a matter of time until they were alone. The jumping Almiraj was annoying, though. The thing he did for his goddess. Soon enough, they were alone as he predicted, and so he unleashed the Almiraj, who jumped around until they reached Belle Cranel's party. There were some conversations they had, but he couldn't hear them from his position. After that, Belle Cranel swept the incoming Almirages with fire. Was that the thing that caught Freya's attention? Someone who can use water and fire magic? He continued observing Belle Cranel. His movement was graceful but deadly. Was the thing that caught his goddess's attention his sword style? It was pleasing to watch, he had to admit, but the movement was not efficient. His goddess wouldn't be so taken by someone who could do that. There must be something else that caught her attention. What was it? Show it to him, Belle Cranel. In the end, Belle Cranel, with some help from his party members, killed the Almirages with no trouble. Otterl frowned, seeing their relaxed posture. Was that not enough challenge to fulfill his goddess's request? Also, what was that? Belle Cranel closed his eyes and put his hand together as if he was praying. Now that Otterl thought about it, Belle Cranel always put the same gesture every time. He did not understand what it symbolized, but it could be the thing that caught Freya's attention. He'd have to continue his observation tomorrow and also bring other challenging monsters. For now, he would go back and report today's progress on Belle Cranel's challenge. One day before Belle's fight with the Minotaur, Otterl watched as Belle Cranel slashed the dungeon worm he faced and killed it. Giving him dungeon worm was not enough, it seemed. Belle Cranel. What an enigma. He struggled a bit, but in the end, he dealt with them all quite easily. Otterl came to one conclusion. Belle Cranel's skills and status weren't matched. It was as if he always had the skills but lacked the status to delve deeper into the dungeon. Was this the thing that caught Freya's attention? If so, he couldn't blame his goddess, as he was also curious about it. How did one gain so perfectly polished skills without raising their status? There was the option of hard training before getting a Falna, but that wouldn't be enough. He reported back to Freya about his observation. Lady Freya, Otterl kneeled. Otterl, good job. Although it is still not enough for him, fufufu. Otterl nodded, acknowledging his goddess's appreciation. My lady, I have a few questions. Speak them, my beloved child. You must be wondering why. Otterl shook his head. I've learned to not question your wisdom. However, I am curious about what you see in him. These past 2 days I observed him. There was nothing remarkable. Only one thing stood out. Raise your head, Otterl, and what might that be? Freya held back a smile. The dissonance in his skills and status. Otterl saw Freya frowned. So that was not the correct answer, then. That's certainly the case, yes. However, that's not what I see in him. I'm interested way long before he showed me his proficiency in wielding his sword. Otterl didn't say anything. I'll give you a clue. Try giving him a minotaur. Freya then said with a smile. Coming out of her seat, Freya patted Otterl's head once. Maybe you'll come to see what I see. As the smooth hand left his head, Otterl stood up. As you wish, my lady. 3 hours before Belle's fight with the minotaur. Minotaur. That was what his goddess told him. She posed it as a suggestion, but he knew it was an order. Freya wanted to see Belle Cranel fought a minotaur. Being the loyal captain of the familia he was, Otterl obeyed her command. He delved down into the middle floor and looked for a minotaur. He did not need a long time before one spawned. Otterl wasted no time to knock it unconscious. Since the minotaur wasn't working in a pack, it was significantly easier to do it. He dragged the minotaur's unconscious body after making sure that no irrelevant adventurers were in the area. On his way to the 9th, Otterl had to hide the unconscious minotaur frequently, as many adventurers ventured on their way down. Fortunately, none of them was of importance and mostly paid no attention to him. He did not realize that the sight of the strongest in Orrerio standing menacingly in a random corner in the dungeon would repel most of the average adventurers. But his luck did not last. Unlike yesterday, the investigating adventurers from Ganesha Familia were in greater number than before. Otterl could still hide the body in the corner and stand as they passed him for the first or so patrols. The only thing left was to wait for them to disperse and Belle Cranel to come. However, one thing stood in Otterl's way. For some reason, today, Belle Cranel took a longer time to come to the 9th floor. Frowning, Otterl had to wonder if some complication on their journey arose. Mr. King? A nervous adventurer finally gathered the courage to approach him. Otterl took a glance at him. We are from Ganesha Familia. We heard about the report of monsters not belonging to their floors spawning on the 9th floor. Do you know anything about that? Otterl did not answer. He just looked at the trembling man. You right? It's just, I'm supposed to ask, you know? I guess you don't know anything. The man muttered some things Otterl couldn't hear. Oh, right. Protocol. Mr. King. Thank you for your cooperation. The man left after thanking him. Otterl did not reply. He just kept standing there. As long as the investigating adventurers hadn't dispersed, he couldn't freely move. His ears heard something from behind him. The unconscious minotaur was waking up before it was needed. That was not something that he could let go of. So before it fully regained consciousness, Otterl hit its head with the flat side of his sword. He did not hit it hard, just enough to make it faint again. In case Belle Cranel arrived, he wouldn't need to wait for a long time before presenting him with the minotaur. 1 hour later, Belle Cranel still hadn't arrived. Otterl frowned. Could it be possible that he had complications on the floor above? After a few seconds of consideration, Otterl knew it was impossible. Belle Cranel's skill was enough to carry him to this floor single-handedly. There was nothing that could hold him back unless it was something specifically engineered, like what he was doing for the past few days, or if the dungeon itself spawning him problems. In any case, he still had to wait for him. Another Ganesha Familia member was patrolling through his standing place. Mr. King, I am from Ganesha Familia. May I ask what you are doing here? There are reports from the guild saying that monsters not belonging to their floors spawned here. Everyone entering this place had to be checked. Otterl looked at him. It seemed that this one was more seasoned than the one before. He had no nervousness even when being stared at by Otterl. Would you be amenable to follow me? We are all trying to get any suspicious individuals. And well, no offense, Mr. King, but you being here raised a few questions. He had no desire to follow the guy. After all, it was not needed to fulfill Freya's request of getting Belle Cranel to face the minotaur. However, at the same time, if he did not follow the guy to be questioned, his goddess's integrity would be tarnished. This was quite a hard choice, he had to admit. Fine. And so Otterl moved and followed the Ganesha Familia member, unknowing that his decision would lead to something grand. It happened in the middle of the questioning. When Otterl was answering some of their questions with nods and shakes of head, another member of the investigating adventurers ran towards them. Minotaur on the 9th floor. All of them looked at each other, although Otterl kept his stoic face. Nobody should know it was him that brought it here, and nobody would know if he did not look suspicious. Still, he did not expect the minotaur to wake up this early. Did he not knock it hard enough? No, he did not. But he knocked it lightly with the assumption that Belle Cranel would come, and it looked like the decision backfired, as Belle Cranel still hadn't been seen on the 9th floor. Let's go! Everyone there, who all came from Ganesha Familia, ran towards the minotaur. Otterl did not know any of their names, so he doubted they were first-rate adventurers. At most, they were probably third-rate. But something like a minotaur shouldn't be a problem for a decent third-rate adventurer. It was a setback for him, but Belle Cranel still hadn't arrived, so he still had time to pick another minotaur from the 15th floor. He turned and walked towards the stairs to the lower floor. However, he heard a roar. It wasn't a roar of defeat. It was a roar of triumph. And so Otterl stood his ground. He decided to believe in this one minotaur he had chosen. Step by step, Otterl followed the source of the roar. Along the way it was a bloody mess. He knew Minotaur was a level 2 monster. He believed the adventurers were strong enough to handle a single one. But what greeted him when he arrived had his eyes widened in surprise. The Minotaur was swinging a cleaver, probably something he took from one of its victims. He did notice one Ganesha Familia member having a large cleaver on his back when he stood and hid the Minotaur body. The Ganesha Familia members were ganging up to fight it. The two people that questioned him weren't there, nor was the nervous guy who first met him. While he hadn't seen their corpses on his way, he was sure they were already dead. Still, it had a decent defensive awareness to keep itself from too big of an injury. Otterl frowned. There was no evidence pointing that the Minotaur was an enhanced species when he chose it. They should be strong enough to handle it. So how and why were they still struggling to kill it? Was it possible that it woke up sooner and killed monsters to eat magic stones in the small window of time before anyone realized its presence? One of the Ganesha Familia members was struck in the head, instantly killing him. The others began to panic. The one who looked like he was the most experienced told one of them to go up and ask for help. Otterl took his sword out, but a stray thought entered his mind. Amidst the chaos, he saw an opportunity. None of the investigating adventurers left saw him. If he did not do anything, nobody there knew it was him that brought a random minotaur to the 9th floor. His goddess's honor wouldn't be sullied. He wouldn't have to delve down and brought up another minotaur. Therefore no chance for him to miss Belle Cranel. This was the most efficient path. And besides, facing an enhanced species would provide more challenges for Belle Cranel. Freya would approve. So he sheathed his sword and watched from a sufficient distance. He watched as the enhanced minotaur slowly killed each Ganesha Familia member one by one. However, it wasn't without a cost. At last, they managed to injure it in the leg, preventing it from moving to the upper floors. They certainly are their own brand of heroes, Otterl admitted. Not long after, Belle Cranel and his party arrived. Good. Show him, Belle Cranel. Show him what captivated his goddess. However, there was no epic showdown. There was no duel to death where one mistake could send you to the afterlife. There was no hero versus monster confrontation. Instead of raising his sword to attack, Belle Cranel took a guardless stance while strolling towards the Minotaur. Of course, his effort was rewarded by a swing of the cleaver by his enemy. For the nth time, Otterl questioned what his goddess saw in the boy. He couldn't see anything worth noting from the boy. When reinforcement came from Loki Familia, Belle Cranel's Palum stopped them from interfering. Otterl nodded. Even she knew it was Belle Cranel's test. Good. Maybe she hid some qualities behind her cowardly facade. Then the air changed. After countless times of approaching the Minotaur, after so much shouting, finally, Belle Cranel went into a stance. However, there was no expression of utmost concentration. There was no tension. It was so sudden that Belle Cranel ran towards the Minotaur and jumped. The strangest thing was that this time, the Minotaur did not do anything. It was as if it offered its neck for Belle Cranel. Also, was that a ghost of a smile on its face? Ridiculous. Without any resistance, Belle Cranel cut the neck of the Minotaur. There was no grand triumph in the air, only silence. As the sudden rain that fell down towards the Minotaur body faded, Otterl saw Belle Cranel closed his eyes and put his hand together again. It was a gesture Otterl had seen from him so many times. He shouldn't do anything. And yet, he understood. Belle Cranel never hated any monsters he slew. He also did not treat them beneath him. To him, all monsters were his equal. And so he offered the same thing to all of them. His kindness. It was why he did not aggressively strike the Minotaur. Rather, he gently cut its neck, and even the monster itself smiled, welcoming its death. If Belle Cranel met any other monsters with the same circumstances in the future, Otterl had the confidence to say that Belle Cranel would do it again. Otterl looked up towards the dungeon ceiling, imagining that nothing was obstructing him from viewing his goddess. Was this what Freya wanted him to see? Nothing else worth noting, aside from his kindness. No, rather than that, his goddess's point of view was probably his kindness outshone everything else. She was that kind of person. Still, a kind adventurer was something like an oxymoron. It was a self-contradiction. An adventurer who was too kind would be taken advantage of and trampled by other, more ambitious adventurers. Was Belle Cranel simply hadn't tasted the more greedy side of Orrerio? Or had he tasted it but still kept his own value? He would keep an eye on Belle Cranel. Not only for his goddess's sake but for his own curiosity too. Before he quietly left, he heard something about Belle Cranel cremating them and bringing them up for burial. Otterl stopped and looked back. He frowned. What was this gnawing feeling inside his chest? No, that was less important than going up and reporting to his goddess. Once he arrived in his goddess's room, Otterl kneeled. Lady Freya, I believe I understood why you couldn't avert your eyes from him, he said. It is that boy's kindness, isn't it? I see it, Otterl. Thank you for your effort. You did a good job. Freya paused for a second. Can you stand up, Otterl? Let me see you more clearly. Otterl blinked. He was quite close to her already. What did she was using her gaze on him. But why? Nevertheless, he complied and moved closer to her. Ufufu, that child is truly beyond my expectation. To think that he was able to do something like that. Otterl still didn't get what she meant, but if he asked, she probably would divert. When she did not want anyone to know, she wouldn't tell. She would tell it later in the future if she'd like. That was how Freya was. Otterl, is there something that you'd like to do tomorrow? No, nothing in particular. I'd fulfill your wish as usual. Freya's eyes glinted. Are you sure? How about this, then? I'll give you a whole free day tomorrow. You're free to do anything you want. Otterl nodded. As you command, Lady Freya. When Otterl left, Freya couldn't hold back her hysterical laughter anymore. To think that a piece of Belle's soul's warm light was now lodged on Otterl's soul. How did he always leave her speechless? Now to enjoy herself, she didn't need to always look for him. Looking at the light growing in Otterl's soul would also be fun. For now, she'd look at every soul which had been lit up by Belle's soul to see if they changed. Oh my, even her dear Ryu had changed so much. One day after Belle's fight with the Minotaur, Lord Aurena's, a hooded figure entered a dark room under the guild. Their voice echoed, and nobody could discern whether it was a man or a woman. Their hooded figure, covered in a dark robe, revealed almost nothing as if the hooded robe hid its wearer from the world. Fels, Aurena's, the first god who descended, stopped his prey and acknowledged the figure. I see you have finished your assignment. Yes. The distorted voice of the one known as Fels answered. A new Minotaur Zenos was found on the 9th floor a few hours ago. I have sent Debayu and Lyd to approach him. To ascertain which one he is. This does confirm it, then. Almost all of the monsters Cranel has slain were reborn as the Zenos. Zenos was a race of intelligent monsters born inside the dungeon. For the past several years, Aurenas and Fels had been trying to help them. However, there were too many obstacles for the populace to accept the Zenos. After all, weren't the dungeon's children would always follow their mother's command? Kill all the humans. Not for the Zenos. They had their own ambitions and goal just like the humans. So Aurenas and Fels secretly helped them to coexist with humans. Although, their progress was going slowly until 3 weeks ago. Since 3 weeks ago, many Zenos ranging from goblins to the killer ants, and even an infant dragon were born inside the dungeon. Nobody knew the reason for the surge of the Zenos' birth. From what Fels gathered, the birth rate of Zenos in the past 3 weeks was 10 times the number of Zenos born in the last 10 years. They had only 2 clues, gathered from the remnants of the Zenos' memories. The first was red orbs, and the second was a pure transparent light that emitted warmth. At first, the older Zenos believed they were referring to the sun, as it was red and also emitted warmth. However, Debayu, the killer ant, had more vivid memories than others and elaborated. The red orbs weren't the ones emitting warmth. It was the transparent light. How can light be transparent? Anyway, Fels wondered. Instead, the red orbs, when they remembered them, there was a sense of relief going through them, even though they did not remember why. It wasn't until Debayu, who was exploring the 7th floor, saw 2 red orbs that relieved him when the Zenos got their possible answer. Cranel, a new adventurer in Hestia's care. The timeline also matched as Belle, when Debayu saw him, had only been an adventurer for around 4 weeks. So Fels had one of his familiar tailed him when he was outside the dungeon to ascertain whether Cranel was the answer. They would get their confirmation soon when Debayu and Lyd questioned the Minotaur Zenos. But all possible deductions Fels thought pointed out to the fact that Cranel was the catalyst for the change, hence Fels' statement before. What should we do regarding Cranel? Fels questioned his superior. Shall we approach him? Not now. Aurenas held Fels back. Factoring his growth as reported by his advisor, we should wait until he is at least level 3 before approaching him. Our biggest enemy isn't the monsters, huh? Indeed, one of the biggest obstacles to the Zenos' freedom was poachers. They hunted monsters and captured them to be sold to the highest bidder. The more exotic the monsters, the higher the price. As he is currently, Cranel had not been challenged by fellow humans enough. When he had gained sufficient experience, only then shall we approach him, Aurenas told Fels. What if he changed his heart? In his long lifespan, Fels had seen too much of the human heart's corruption. He feared that the same would happen to Cranel. Hearing this, Aurenas smiled. Recite to me again the report from the Zenos about Cranel's exploit inside the dungeon after he killed monsters? They used the Zenos to observe Belle inside the dungeon and Fels's familiar outside the dungeon. They had gathered information about him this way, from his habit of training since the dawn to his unusually strong swordsmanship inside the dungeon. They compiled it into one extensive report. He usually closed his eyes and put his hand together. Conversations with his party member imply that he was praying. Why? The act of praying is bearing your soul towards the deity you prayed. Long, long ago, before we gods descended, we communicated with humans in the lower world this way. Arenas smiled. There is no way someone with a soul so warm to ever change its nature, as long as it is not tarnished. Fels gasped. The transparent light is his soul? I suspect the soul of the monsters lingered for a while after death, and they saw Belle Cranel bearing his soul to the dungeon. Arenos explained his theory. It was just a theory, but it explained why the new Zenos saw the exact same thing, although with different levels of clarity. Fels jumped on the theory presented to him. The red orbs were his eyes. That's also my conclusion. Quite an interesting one, isn't he? Indeed. For now, shall we develop the hidden village to protect and accommodate more Zenos? Until we can bring Belle Cranel, Arenas nodded. I'll see myself out. Fels bowed to the divine being. One day after Belle's fight with the Minotaur, the wisdom of a goddess was truly unmatched. That was the thing that ran inside Otterl's mind as he walked towards a certain destination. It was as if she read his mind. Not his mind specifically, but Freya could see souls. Was there something that could give her a tell there? If she did not mention anything, Otterl would have just spent the day doing her biddings as usual. However, his goddess specifically said that today he was free to do as he pleased. He did not know what his soul told her, but indeed, if Freya did not order him to do anything, he wanted to do something today. Welcome to Gloria, the best flower shop in Orrerio. What can I help you? A woman, the clerk, greeted him. Flowers for honoring the dead. I see. Is it all right if I ask you the following questions? Otterl nodded. Is it for someone you know? No. Then, what do you feel about them? At that question from the clerk, Otterl frowned. Ever since yesterday, there was a certain gnawing feeling inside his chest. He did not know the name, but he did know the origin. That feeling always resurfaced whenever he thought about the dead Ganesha Familia adventurers. They did not have to die. He could help them fight the Minotaur. Their death was needless. He knew that his thought process concluded that it was necessary to fulfill his goddess's request. However, he understood that his choice was wrong, even if it led to a satisfying end. If Otterl had to describe the thing he was feeling, regret. That was the only fitting word. My condolence. The clerk bowed a little. How many would you like them? 5. Please wait here while I arrange some wreaths. The clerk went towards the back room. Hello. When he waited, Otterl was greeted by a child. Are you an adventurer? Otterl nodded. Awesome. I also want to be an adventurer when I'm grown up, just like Big Bro Belle and you. Otterl's eyes widened. Belle Cranel. He even influenced a normal civilian child to follow his steps. Is it okay to ask you whose grave are you going to visit? The girl asked him. Or is it impolite? Mom always tells me that asking like that is impolite. Otterl looked at her. The latter. I'm sorry. Please wait here for a while. I have a gift for you. The child went towards the same door the clerk went. Presumably, it was the place they kept their flowers fresh. A greenhouse? 10 minutes later, the clerk went back to the front store, bringing 5 wreaths of purple hyacinth with her. Purple hyacinth. It symbolized regret. Is there anything else you need? Otterl shook his head. This is enough. Then everything's totaled to dash. The door from the back room was slammed as the child from before ran. Mr. Adventurer. Here. I gift it to you. Rosie. This is a customer. Please keep up your manners. The clerk turned her attention to him. Please forgive this child, Mr. Adventurer. Otterl nodded and kneeled. What is this, little girl? This is a daisy flower. I hope you like it. Otterl took the flower and looked at it. Why daisy? The child frowned. I don't know. I feel like it's a good fit for you, Mr. Adventurer. Otterl smiled. Thank you. The girl ran back towards the back room. Seriously, that child. Belle kind of spoiled her. So please forgive his manners, Mr. Adventurer. It is nothing. Otterl took up his bag and brought out 5,000 valis. The clerk gasped, seeing the amount of valis being placed on the counter. Sir, this is too much. The total is not even 900 valis. Otterl shook his head and left with the wreaths. For the daisy. The clerk bowed. Thank you so much, Mr. Adventurer. After that, Otterl visited the adventurer's graveyard and quickly found the newly built grave by following Ganesha's wail of sorrow. That god was noisy like that. Of course, he paid his respect long after the Ganesha Familia members left, so nobody could see him. When he arrived in Freya's room to report his day, she unexpectedly giggled at him. He wondered if there was something he missed. As it turned out, Freya loved the daisy. Maybe he'd buy some more daisies from that shop. The small amount of money he gave them was not enough to repay the goddess's happiness from being given the daisy. Freya was over the moon. The flower was given to her from Otterl, whose soul was aglow from Belle's influence, which in turn accepted it from a little girl whose soul was aglow from Belle's influence. It was like Belle himself gave her that flower. 2 days after Belle's fight with the Minotaur, Hestia entered the Denatus with Hephaestus at her side. Hephaestus had already briefed her on what to expect, especially how the other gods and goddess would give an alias for her beloved child. That still did not make her stop being nervous, especially if Loki, her eternal nemesis, offered some foolish names just to spite her. Actually, everyone there will offer foolish names. Nothing against you, Hestia, but that's how they are. Hephaestus sympathized with her longtime friend. I'll probably try, but well, I'm just a drop in the ocean. In the end, Hephaestus patted her on the back for one last reassurance, to which Hestia accepted with a smile. The party started, and the gods and goddess who descended to Orrerio were having a good time exchanging information. Hestia herself stayed out of the limelight because she knew that the naming ceremony where they give adventurers aliases would drag her to the spotlight. All right, it's time for the naming ceremony, Loki shouted to the party attendant, who cheered in good spirit. Well, those who did not have their children leveled up anyway. Those who had, like her, were dreading this. One by one, comical names were uttered by random gods and goddesses. Hearing some of them made Hestia really wanted to curl up and lie down. Some were just cruelly embarrassing, at least to the gods. Even those she knew, like Take Mikazuchi, weren't spared of the embarrassment. The arrival of Freya, however, caught her attention. She was having a spat with Ishtar, but there was no denying the rumor that her children were roaming in the middle floor, floors way below their level. Coupled with reports of monsters belonging to the middle floors appearing on the upper floors, Ishtar was clearly attacking Freya. She really wanted to question Freya, since her familia was involved. Still, she did not want to make a baseless accusation, especially since she knew Belle would frown upon such things. She shook her head, smiling. Goodness, Belle's bleeding heart was infectious. The next one on the list was Ace Wallenstein. Hestia frowned. She did not dislike the girl, especially since she confirmed that she was not the source of Belle's Liaris freeze. That would be his admiration for the figure in his dream. But that fact did not change that Ace Wallenstein was from another familia. Belle should not fall in love with someone from another familia. Then again, Belle was strange. Hestia never blatantly asked about his real family before coming to Orrerio. Still, bit by bit, she could picture the story from pieces of story Belle told her. In summary, Belle was seeing their familia, the Hestia familia, as a substitute for a family he never had. And family wouldn't fall in love with each other, right? She was pretty sure that was Belle's track of mind. She was very confident of it by looking at the way Belle treated Lily, a possible future member of their familia. He showed her affection and care, but never in a romantic way. She suspected that Lily knew but still tried anyway. She couldn't help but feel proud to understand her children this deeply. In a sense, she was growing up as a patron goddess. Hestia sighed. Next, the last one. Everybody in the room went quiet. All of them looked at Hestia, who tensed in anticipation. Before we start naming, can I say something? Hestia, you expect me to believe that your kid leveled up in just 1.5 months. She even used her name. Loki was really pissed. It took Ace 1 year. 1 year. And your kid does it in 1.5 months? The other gods and goddesses were silent. No doubt, Loki had voiced their own doubt over Belle's accomplishment. 1.5 months to level up? Indeed, it was unheard of. She wouldn't even believe it if someone else told her that they could do it. Not without a skill like Liaris freeze. Unfortunately, that was the thing that she had to hide over other gods and goddesses, as their greed would definitely make them steal Belle from her. You'd understand it if you know Belle. I admit I am also shocked by his rapid progress. It's not like I used Arcanum or something. Heck, I still asked Hephaestus here on how to maintain a Falna. So if you suspect me of any foul play, I'm sorry, Loki. I have no involvement with it. It's all Belle. Loki glared at her. TCH, fine. You're an idiot. Anyway, you wouldn't be able to mess with the Falna. Veins appeared on Hestia's head. Despite all that convincing, she was still being insulted. Why you? Catfight? A random god shouted. And all hell was almost broke loose if it weren't for an intervention. Calm down. The soothing voice of Freya arrived on her ears, and she turned her attention from Loki to Freya. It's taboo to interfere with other familia's internal matters, right? So Hestia's explanation is sufficient. 1 month, Freya. My, perhaps you are jealous that your child's record was broken by Hestia's. I'm not. I'm just wondering how a newbie managed to defeat a minotaur. Freya was about to say something when Hestia cut in first. He didn't kill a minotaur in a glorious fight. Can't you even read? That prompted everyone to read the document of the official level up. He let a minotaur let him kill it. Most of us was fixated on minotaur and kill. Besides, what does let a minotaur let him kill it even mean? Another random god shouted. Before Hestia could answer, another unlikely voice entered. "Nu, don't spoil it. I want to hear it straight out of Belle's mouth." Now the attention of the room was on Hermes. "Oh, sorry I was late. Just arrived from a trip outside. I can't help but hear about Belle leveling up just now." "Hestia, please don't explain anything. I want to hear it officially from Belle." "That's right. You know Belle." "I do too." "So do I." Yup. He always passed by me every morning." Maybe Hermes is right. I also want to hear it from Belle. Similar sounding agreement. Hestia was a little surprised that Belle was very well known even before his level up. Was this the power of his compassion? How many of these gods and goddesses were the face he greeted every morning in his run? "Then why don't you defend him? Some friends you are?" Hestia asked them. "Well," one of them replied, "even if we knew Belle, it's hard to believe that such a good boy who greeted you with a smile every morning is the same as the one in this document, you know? So we sided with Loki on this. Sadly, that was fair. Not to mention he always said he was a newly minted adventurer. Who's going to believe that in just 6 weeks he leveled up? Certainly not me. That was also fair. Damn. GHH, so what do you want me to say? When I wanted to explain, you said don't. When I didn't explain, you demanded it. Why are you a bunch of children? Look in the mirror and remember your age." There was an outcry after she vented her frustration. That jab was unexpectedly straight into their heart. Now, let's put that aside and continue our party, yes? Freya suddenly spoke, catching everyone's attention. "Alias 4, Belle Cranel was it?" "That's right." Loki took control of the situation. "Make it embarrassing, damn it. I'm still salty." Hestia broke my precious ace's record. "Loki, you flat bastard." The deities began murmuring some names. "He always greeted me every morning. Morning Belle. Innocent rabbit. Crimson gaze. I want to protect that smile. Damn it." "Wait. Was that a suggestion or something else?" "Yes." Some were so mysterious she didn't know where that came from. Others were embarrassing for her. She could only tearfully look at Hephaestus, who awkwardly smiled at her. "You can endure this," she read Hephaestus's lip. Meanwhile, on the side, Loki was laughing at her predicament. "TCH. Annoying. If it's a name, I believe I have something fun." Everyone's attention was now on the speaker, who was actually Hermes. Tipping his hat, he looked straight at Freya. "But before that, Freya, I've not seen you uttering any names. Are you not interested, perhaps?" Hermes, that fool, challenging Freya like that. She knew he was quite acquainted with Belle, so she could at least trust him to give a non-embarrassing name despite his shoddiness. My Hermes, it's not that I am not interested. I was just in a conundrum. Hestia is quite kind to me in Tenkai, so I don't want to give her first child an embarrassing nickname like Loki suggested." She turned her attention to Loki. "Loki, you won't declare a war game because of this, will you? Who do you think I am? I am petty, but not that petty." "Then I think Radiant Blade is a fitting name," Freya finished with a smile. "I see. What do you think, Hestia? Would Belle like a heroic name like that?" Hermes asked her. However, his eyes lost all the playfulness from before. What is it? What is it that he was doing? Openly asking Freya like that and then asking for her opinion? Hold on. Hestia made a gesture of thinking and took a glance at the document that the guild provided for the Denatus. Scanning her child's profile, she quickly noticed one thing. There was no information of his skill, only his weapon. So how did Freya came to a conclusion about the word radiant? The other gods offered a name based on his appearance and his habits. Others followed Loki's jab at her and went to embarrass her. So why did Freya went to the conclusion about radiant? There was nothing that indicated any radiant thing about him in the document. Well, maybe his smile, but no way Freya could draw conclusions from just that. Was Hermes was trying to tell her? That Freya was observing Belle from afar? Then was the one sending those monsters for Belle Freya? No, she should not think about those things now. Her familia was still way below Freya's. I like it, but giving such a heroic name to Belle will make his head big. You know? She played along with Hermes. This, she decided, was her gratitude for giving her the information. Freya pouted. Ah, and I thought for such a long time too. Oh well, if that's your opinion. I see. Then I'll give my recommendation. For Belle, the only fitting name is Kagura. Everyone was silent. A Far Eastern's name? Even some of the Far Eastern's adventurers weren't given aliases in their language. After the Kagura dance? Take Mikazuchi asked Hermes for confirmation. Indeed, I know that not all of you have seen Belle's movement in a fight. There's not a single word I can use to describe it. It's just, arg. I can't describe it. Belle once described his style as dance. So I looked up some dictionary for Far Eastern's word on dance and voila. I meet Kagura there. Hermes explained the reasoning behind the name he gave. What the hell? I like it. Sounds exotic. I love it. Wait, that implied that Hermes knew Belle would level up sooner or later. She couldn't really drop her guard around him, could she? Shady Hermes was shady. Next time she wouldn't blindly accept his offered hands. Then it's decided. Loki retook control of the crowd. Be grateful to Hermes for offering such exotic words, you lowly big boobs. She really wanted to retort, but she decided not to squander this. Who knew Loki would be petty enough to change the registered alias? At least Kagura wasn't as embarrassing as Morning Belle. She had a feeling having his name as part of his alias would embarrass him more than her. After the party ended, Hermes was approached by Take Mikazuchi and Benzaten. Oh, it's unusual for you two to approach me. Is there something you need? Take Mikazuchi sighed. Hermes, you said you opened a dictionary, right? Then you'd know what Kagura can mean in Koine. Hermes blinked, his playful smile still plastered on his face. There is more than one meaning? Cut the crap. That boy is kind. He even helped to get the body of my child to the surface. For him to be saddled with that kind of name. What kind of game are you playing, Hermes? Benzaten glared at him. You got me. He dropped his grin. When I researched the fitting name for his eventual alias, I went over several words until I found that. I don't know Hestia, but I know you, Hermes. That theatrical performance with Freya? Are you working with her against Hestia? Hearing Benzaten's question, Hermes frowned. I'm against those that will hinder Belle Cranel. That was a perfectly neutral answer. And yet you gave him a name that could mean God's entertainment. Take Mikazuchi frowned. To give Hestia's child such name, aren't you the one hindering him? The hatted god laughed. He's entertaining us already. Couldn't you see? I'm just giving him an appropriate name. Not in a mean spirit, mind you. I'm giving it because I have faith that he will entertain us. Well, nothing can be done now that we gods and goddesses have decided. Take Mikazuchi sighed. Just don't get surprised when Amaterasu come all the way here and demand to see the adventurer who was given the alias Kagura. Benzaten winced. Ah, I can see that shut-in got pumped and come here. Kagura dance was, after all, a folk dance originating from the Far East from way before the gods descended to the lower world. Amaterasu loved it so much she always went out of her cave when the Far East worshipper did it in ancient times just to watch it. Then we'll accept another divine guest here in Orrerio. Maybe let Belle dance in front of her to entertain her. Was Hermes's nonchalant reply. I see that we cannot change your mind. Benzaten turned her back. Maybe I'll approach him to see his dance someday. I'll bring my familia members too. The Far Eastern members would be delighted to see a Kagura dance. A good idea, Benzaten. Uka and the rest surely would love to see a Kagura dance performance too. I'll suggest it to Hestia. A dance performance to raise money. They left the grinning Hermes. There was no contest in Denatus, but this time the Denatus had a clear winner. Hermes. Hestia ended up rejecting the proposal from Take Mikazuchi. She did not want to whore out her precious Belle for everyone's eyes. And besides, their financial situation was secure enough to not eat any leftover Jagamarukan because they had no money soon. A place to sleep was another thing. Seriously, it was tough to find a vacant home in Orrerio. Either it was too small for their planned expansion of the familia or too expensive that they would have to eat leftover Jagaramarukans. Chapter 9. Belle wanted to cry. The scene in front of him was just too heart-wrenching. The flame-caped demon slayer's body was full of wounds. His left eye was crushed. His ribs were broken. Even his internal organs were bleeding. And yet, the sight in front of him was the most heroic sight he had ever seen. A single man, protecting the people behind him until his last breath. There was nothing more heroic than that. Even compared to the heroic tale of old he had been told, this was a lot more emotional than that. Maybe because he was experiencing this directly instead of being told by words. On the opposite side stood the Upper Moon 3, the fourth strongest demon after the progenitor, the first and the second. There was not a single wound on its body. The regeneration power of a demon was too fast. Some invitations were thrown, but the flame pillar was steadfast. He would keep being a protector. Both the flame pillar and the Upper Moon 3 went for one last big attack. As they met, the impact from their attack kicked the dust. However, there were no other sounds of clashing. When the dust settled, Belle couldn't help but gasp at the sight. The flame pillar's stomach was punched through by the Upper Moon 3. That was a fatal wound. There would be no chance that he'd survive this fight. Belle turned to look at the boy in green and black checkered garb and the pig-headed demon slayer. "Do something," he shouted towards them. But of course his wail was ignored. This was just a recollection after all. Nothing he did could ever influence the memories. Even so, Belle couldn't stop the tears from flowing. He did not want to see a hero die. And yet, before his last breath left his body, the flame pillar clenched his grip and delivered a slash to the upper moon third's neck. With every last power his body could muster, he shouted and pressed his sword to cut the demon. The demon tried to get away, but he couldn't. The flame pillar devoted everything to killing the demon, even at the expense of his life. As the two boys attacked, the upper moon third cut its own hand to get free and run away to the deep forest where the sun ray did not pierce through the thick foliage. The boy in the green and black checkered garb threw his sword like a javelin, pierced the upper moon third who was running away, and then he cried just like Belle. Soon, the sun rose to the blue sky, signaling that morning came. No demon would appear again until the next sunset. The fight was truly over. But the price was too high in Belle's opinion. One life for hundreds. At a glance, it looked like the price justified it. However, when Belle carefully thought about it, the one life perished could prevent another disaster somewhere, while the 100 lives saved couldn't. No. He had no right to judge whether it was fair or not. Human lives couldn't be simplified into statistics like that. That kind of thinking was a slippery slope towards dehumanizing people, and Belle wouldn't want to be like that. He approached the boy in the green and black checkered garb who had one last talk with the flame pillar. Apparently, the flame pillar of old recorded something about the dance of the fire god, so the boy should go to the flame pillar's residence. After that, the flame pillar had some words of encouragement for the two boys. "If you feel disheartened by your own weakness, set your heart ablaze, grit your teeth, and move forward." Somehow those words resonated with Belle. A month ago, he was lamenting his own weakness, lashing against the monsters inside the dungeon. He came out all right, thankfully, but that was wrong. He shouldn't have done that. This was a great lesson that he would never forget. Soon after, the flame pillar finally closed his eyes peacefully. And yet Belle couldn't stop crying. Waking up in the morning, Belle wiped the tears that fell down. Did he cry in his sleep again? That was embarrassing. He thought he was just crying in his dream. Nonetheless, this was a brand new day for him. And what was more, last night, his goddess just confirmed that he could level up. Although, he would consult with Ina first about what development ability he should take. He had 3 choices, all great. His goddess leaned on luck, and so did Lily. His inner child wanted swordsman, though even if he understood that luck was more essential to have. Belle smiled at Lily and Hestia hugging each other on the bed. It was unusual for his goddess to not sleepwalk to him. But seeing her like this with Lily brought something to the forefront of his heart. She might appear tough to Lily, but she already cared for her deep down. Slowly, he woke Lily up without disturbing Hestia. A tough job, for sure. However, waking up at dawn had been progressively programmed to Lily's morning habit, so not much effort was needed to wake her up. MGH, is it morning already? Lily rubbed her eyes. Belle would admit that seeing the sight of Lily rubbing her eyes cutely every morning was never tiring. Yes, Lily, she groaned in response to his reply. Nonetheless, she stood up from the bed and freshened up. 10 minutes later, they were out running in the morning. As they ran, the citizens of Orrerio greeted them as usual. Lily found herself also waving at them, although a little shyly. She was pretty surprised that they greeted her back. They ran 2 complete laps circumnavigating Orrerio, and somehow, Lily could feel herself progressing further even if she did not update her Falna. 2 weeks ago, she couldn't do a simple lap. However, after Belle taught her how to breathe, she could do a full lap. Now, she could finish 2 laps without any significant exhaustion. The breathing was real, she decided. Even if she couldn't manifest fire or water like Belle, it was worth learning simply for increasing her stamina. All right, let's train our breathing, Belle said as they settled on the outskirt wall where Ace usually trained Belle. Loki Familia was exploring the dungeon, so they were free to use this place. Not that anyone would forbid them. No Loki Familia meant no interruption from Ace Wallenstein. Lily sat crossed on the ground. Her hand formed a lotus position as she closed her eyes and carefully maintained her breathing. This technically was not meditation, so she did not have to empty her thoughts. Her mind wandered to the scene from yesterday night. Belle did the impossible. This was a historical occurrence. Somebody leveling up in just a month and a half would be bound to make waves. The question was, would Hestia Familia's strength be enough to weather Orario's hurricane? She was pretty sure the answer was no. To be honest, she really wanted to join Hestia Familia. Not just to quickly get elemental respiration breath materialization skill that Belle said she'd have if she succeeded, but also because Hestia Familia needed all the help it could get. She wouldn't get the skill as long as she was still in Soma Familia. That was because she did not want to update her Falna with Soma. Doing that meant showing herself to her Familia captain, Zenos, The reason why she was piling money to free herself. Not good. Thinking about her own familia almost broke her concentration. Lily's mind quickly latched onto random things, like her relationship with her master Belle. At first, it was a sign of deference from a supporter to a more honorable adventurer, calling him Master Belle. However, ever since Belle took the time to teach her, it became a sign of respect as a student to him as a teacher. There was also the fact that Belle was so polite he only began calling someone's first name when they asked him to. That was Far Eastern culture, wasn't it? Did the memories of the boy in the dream influence Belle to such degrees? She did not think so. The boy in the dream influenced Belle's fighting style, no doubt. But she would like to think that Belle would still be his polite and kind self even without the dream. Well, there was no use thinking along such lines. What ifs would not change your future? Lily concentrated on her breathing rhythm. What was important was that Belle was there with her now, so she would never stop cherishing his existence. Several minutes of silence passed. The only thing Lily heard was her own breathing, Belle's breathing, and the chirping of birds in the early morning. We're done, Lily. Good job. Lily opened her eyes. Now you need to do 500 swings to the left and 500 swings to the right. This was new, Lily thought to herself. Usually it was a downward slash. Can you show me, Master Belle? Right? There are actually several differences in the stance, but the basics are the same. First, can you get into the normal stance? Lily did as he was instructed. Both of her feet were closed, and she stood straight. Her sword was in her grip, tight and ready to strike. Right? Good work. Now, instead of going over your head, you need to swing it by going over your shoulder. Belle grabbed her arms and guided them so the sword on her hands was over her shoulder. Then your footwork is also slightly altered. Instead of the usual moving your feet straight forward, it's a diagonally forward instead. Can you guess why? Lily pondered for a few seconds before she decided to try both. The first time, Lily did her usual footwork. Her right foot moved forward as she swung the sword from right to left. However, it felt jarring. It was like her footwork got in the way of a nice, clean swing. No synergy between the two. Footwork was essential when using a sword. It was the foundation of a good attack. At least that was what Belle explained to her before. For it to have no synergy with the upper body movement, it meant that the footwork needed to change. Master Belle, which foot do I need to move diagonally? Belle only smiled at her. Why don't you try both? Lily looked at him before sighing. She supposed Belle wanted her to learn, not just copy whatever he was doing. So she just accepted it and did her right foot first. She slid her right foot diagonally to the right and swung her sword from right to left. After that, she reset her stance, and this time she moved her left foot and swung her sword. After doing both, she found her answer. It's Lily's left leg. To swing to the left, Lily needs to move Lily's left foot. Lily guesses the opposite is also true. To swing to the right, Lily needs to move Lily's right foot. Correct. However, this does not mean you can't move your right foot. This is just the basic footwork for an attack. Here, let me show you about moving my right foot when I'm swinging to the left. Belle drew his sword and prepared himself. Just like Lily, he went for a stance to swing his sword horizontally from right to left. Then Belle moved his right foot as he swung. Can you see what I'm trying to do? Lily shook her head. No. Lily doesn't understand. Then, I'll make a follow-up swing. Belle reset his stance and swung again. However, he did not stop at one swing. After his horizontal slash, he suddenly turned 180 degrees and made another slash by moving his right foot again. I'll do the left foot one now. Belle reset his stance again. This time, he did not turn back and instead continued attacking forward. The second attack Belle did, he did not turn because the normal footwork was the foundation for another forward attack. Footwork is not the end of a move. Belle nodded at himself. In fact, you need to calculate the next move you're going to make that synergized with your current feet position. It's like a chain that will not end. But from outside's perspective, I've heard it looked like a dance. Lily cut him off. Now everything fell into place. She always thought that Belle's swordsmanship felt like a dance when she saw him cut down monsters. So it was indeed like a dance, but not precisely intended to come out like that. She had a feeling if Belle ever did a ballroom dance, he'd be good at it without ever learning it. However, while footwork is everything, telegraphing your move can prove to be your downfall. Belle sheathed his sword. It's why I still can't regularly beat Miss Lion even when she held back. You can hold back your strength and speed, but innate instinct like that is harder to hold back. I never know what she will do next because I can't read her movement at all. She only slipped once or twice when I surprised her. Miss Ace is the same, but she's even harder to match because she doesn't hold back at all. I guess even with the shortcut I was given, nothing beats pure experience. And this was coming from someone who broke past the level-up barrier in just 1.5 months. High-class adventurers were scary, Lily thought to herself. But that's a lesson for another time. For now, master the basics, Lily. Lily nodded and continued her swings. After around 200 swings, they stopped and went towards the hostess of fertility for Belle's daily morning training with Ryu. As usual, Ryu had already gone through some movements. She truly was a fantastic role model for Belle. Miss Lion. Good morning. Belle greeted her. While he chatted with Ryu, Lily took her usual spot and went through her swings again. There were still another 800 swings she had to make as they spar. Good morning, Mr. Cranel. Ryu looked at Belle. You looked different than yesterday. Did something good happen? Belle grinned. Hee hee. You're looking at the newest level 2 adventurer, Miss Lion. Ryu stared. She kept staring at him, waiting for the eventual punchline of "I'm joking" that people other than her were fond of. She knew that friends liked to be playful with each other, but she did not think she and Belle were close enough to do that. But it never came. Perhaps she missed something? Miss Lion. Are you perhaps being playful with me, Mr. Cranel? No? Oh well, I guess it's still not official. I'll be asking my advisor for the development ability later. But after that, we're going to officialize it. It's true, Lily said from her training spot. Lily saw the status sheet last night. We can't believe it either. Lily guesses Master Belle is Master Belle. Ryu opened her mouth, but no sound came out. She knew Belle was uniquely strong. She was the one who faced him the most, after all. However, leveling up after just a month was unprecedented. It was not achievable by any means before simply just because the current record, or is it previous? It was still not official, after all, was 1 year. She thought if it was ever broken by someone, it would be in 11 or 10 months, or 6 months at the fastest. But she would never guess the boy in front of her breaking the record in just 1 month. I guess I can offer you congratulations. I am curious, however. You have beaten an infant dragon as a level 1 and didn't level up. How did you do it? What kind of monster did you face yesterday? I assume it happened yesterday. Yes. It wasn't like she wanted to know his secret. If he did not want to share, she would understand his decision. She just wanted to know how her somewhat student progressed. That was right. Belle was unofficially her student, wasn't he? Hearing that question, Belle scratched his cheek. I can tell you, but I don't think anyone can follow my path. He looked down on his sheathed sword. Your path? Ryu questioned back. Come to think about it, I've talked to you about my philosophy, right? Belle suddenly remembered the talk they once had. Kindness begets kindness. I remember. You said that helping someone troubled isn't justice. It's kindness. That actually quite surprised me. I thought you weren't fit to become an adventurer after that. But you proved me wrong. Ehe, thank you. Anyway, my path of adventuring is a path of kindness. I'd be happy if anyone could follow me, but I'm not hoping. Path of adventuring. Ryu had a faraway look in her eyes. Did he trigger a repressed memory of something? How and why did it only happen to Ryu of all people he knew? This never happened with anybody else. Ryu shook her head and looked at him. You still haven't answered my question, Mr. Cranel. If you don't want to, I understand. Ah, I talked in a circle, didn't I? Belle laughed. The simple explanation is I let a minotaur let me kill it. Ryu widened her eyes. You killed a minotaur? As a level 1? No, I let a minotaur let me kill it. The silence was awkward. I don't understand. Ryu frowned in confusion. You let a minotaur let you kill it. Lily stopped her swing again. If you're still confused, Miss Lion, Master Belle was being Master Belle yesterday. The result is also so Master Belle. That was an even more confusing explanation, but somehow she understood some of it. Belle, in kindness, did something unprecedented, and the result was enough to level up. That something was letting a minotaur let him kill it. The problem was she still did not understand that statement. Who did what? How did it translate into something that could impress the gods? I'm sorry, but I still don't quite understand that part about let a minotaur letting me kill it. Can you explain it in a more understandable way? This is just like the stop breathing incident all over again, isn't it? Belle scratched the back of his head. I don't know how to phrase it better. The minotaur had injuries, and its roar was filled with pain. I couldn't just kill it in cold blood, so I coaxed the minotaur to let me kill it by using my 5th style. It's a move for a painless kill, but I can only do it if my enemy willingly offers their neck. Ryu was honestly speechless. Out of all the things somebody could have ever done to level up, this was the most outlandish thing she had heard. No, not the painless kill move, but for someone who did not have a taming skill to coax a monster to follow him. Wait, basically, you leveled up by offering kindness to monsters, Mr. Cranel. That is dangerous. The dungeon is unforgiving. Ryu chastised him. If something happened to you, Seer would be heartbroken. Don't worry, Miss Lion, Belle said with a smile. I know my limits. Speaking of your limit, does this mean you're going to the middle floor? At that, Belle spent several seconds thinking. He technically could. Going to the 14th floor and below to gather more experience for himself now that he was a level 2. After all, Ina's ban only applied to him as a level 1. However, he looked at Lily, who kept swinging and swinging, following his instructions. She had followed all his orders, even if she complained, even if she grumbled under her breath. She still did it all wholeheartedly. He still hadn't mentioned all the time he dragged her along for his whims. She was even so desensitized by his behavior she accepted every oddity. She did not even voice her disbelief when he told her about his previous life. Did she deserve the mental attack she would have when he eventually ventured down the middle floor? He knew she had the mental fortitude, but he felt that Lily deserved better. I don't think so, Belle smiled at Ryu. I think it's time for Lily to feel how it is being an adventurer. Ryu gasped. You mean? Yeah, we're going to train Lily on the upper floors. Lily stopped her swing and then looked at Belle, mouth agape. What? You heard right, Lily. But Lily thought Lily is not going to face monsters alone until, she glanced at Ryu. Until you impart more of your technique to Lily. With your situation now, it's going to be a long time before I'll teach you my technique. Translation. The situation with your familia was still a long-term goal. Waiting for it would just waste your precious time. Fine. But Master Belle will help Lily if Lily is in trouble, right? Of course. I'll be behind you. Belle gave her a thumb up. After that confirmation, Lily's heart calmed down, and she continued her swings again. Well then, shall we spar? Ryu offered. What is the limit of your level 1? I'll use more of my power and speed. Please don't. I still can't even beat you with your usual restraint. Indeed, the last time Belle scraped a win was when Ace saw them. After that time, Ryu increased her power and speed, and Belle still couldn't match her. Belle came into the fight wanting to match that Ryu. If she used more power and speed, he wouldn't win. Mr. Cranel. Ryu's stoic face morphed into a ghost of a smile. It would be unbecoming for the teacher to be bested by her student, wouldn't it? She knew. She knew that Belle was creeping closer to her usual strength, so she lessened her restraint more to slip out of his reach. Belle pouted. You're not fair, Miss Lion. The result of the spar was, of course, a landslide in Ryu's favor. Still, Belle was delighted. It meant he was making progress. He couldn't wait to see Lily's progress too. She needed to build up her confidence in herself. Entering the Pantheon with Lily, Belle approached Ina. Good morning, Miss Ina. Can we talk in a private booth? Good morning, Belle. Yes, we can. Although please wait a minute while I finish some documents. Ina replied and returned to her work. After a few minutes, Ina put aside her stack of papers and turned her attention to Belle. Well, shall we? Yes, let's go. Come on, Lily. Once they arrived at the private area, Belle immediately dropped the bomb. Miss Ina, between swordsman, hunter, and luck, which do you prefer for development ability? Ina blinked. That was unexpected. Well, since you use swords, Belle, I think swordsman is a good fit. However, hunter is a rare development ability. As for luck, I have never heard about it. Are you sure your research is correct? Oh, I'm not researching anything. I asked because that's what appeared on my status last night. Luck is unheard. Huh. Like Goddess Hestia said. I see. Wait. What? Took you long enough, Miss Ina? Lily smirked playfully. Good job, Master Belle. Smiling at Lily, Belle high-fived with her. Did you just imply what I think it is? Ina fixed her glasses, her face looking at them seriously. Indeed, Miss Ina. Today I'll officially become a level 2. Well, after you offer your insight for me anyway. Goddess told me to ask you about the 3 development abilities that appeared. And you two decided to prank me? Now her glasses lit up menacingly. Belle raised his hands in surrender. I thought why not? Ina only let out a sigh. What dangerous thing you did to level up, Belle? I let a minotaur let me kill it. Miss Supporter, can you tell me how dangerous it is? Brushed aside? Belle remarked when Ina immediately turned her attention to Lily after answering her. It's actually not that dangerous. And so Lily explained what happened yesterday to Ina. After the explanation, Ina could only pinch her nose bridge in exasperation while shaking her head, muttering something he couldn't hear clearly under her breath. Sigh, Belle. Miss Ina, he replied. What do I do with you? Despite all my efforts to protect you, trouble seems to find you. I can't even get mad at you. Belle couldn't say anything. Ina always had his own safety in her mind. He appreciated that. However, telling it to her now would feel like just lip service, considering what he had just done yesterday. So he decided to stay silent. Lily thinks Miss Advisor should do what she has always done. Lily is sure Master Belle felt thankful for your consideration. However, Lily also felt that Miss Advisor needed to give more trust in Master Belle. Ina bit her lip. Was it because she wanted to refute Lily's statement or agree with it? Belle didn't know. Thank you, Miss Supporter. I'll take your advice for consideration. She faced Belle again. Belle, congratulations for being the fastest adventurer to level up in history. Let me file in some of the paperwork first. You can go back and level up, then complete this form later. About my development ability. Luck. You'll need it. Belle winced. That was probably also why his goddess pushed for him to get luck. She understood that he needed it. Thank you, Miss Ina. Oh, about yesterday's tragedy. Does the guild have the data on the victims? I wanted to pay my respects to them. Ina blinked. Right, I'll get it for you. Let me check it first since I don't remember their names. They left the private room. Later, after Belle completed the form, with his goddess on his side, who once again convinced her by showing his partial status sheet that excluded his skills, Ina submitted the form to be processed by the guild. Suffice to say, everyone there was flabbergasted. Level up in just 1.5 months? Preposterous. There was no way somebody could do that. That night, the news of Belle's level up got leaked, and in an instant, all of Orrerio was in an uproar. Walking around on the first floor of the dungeon, Belle looked at Lily. She was breathing heavily, probably because of nerves. Welf wasn't with them because when Belle said they would train Lily on the first floor, Welf felt that his time would be better spent finishing his work. Regulate your breathing, Lily. Remember, no need to be nervous. I am here. Belle tried to reassure Lily. All right. Soon, a goblin materialized from a nearby wall, and Lily froze. It's just a goblin, Lily. Swing your blade. Despite being scared, Lily swung her sword at the last second before the goblin's arm could reach her. Remember your footwork. Keep moving. Lily looked at her feet. Right. Keep moving. Taking a deep breath, Lily moved towards the goblin. If she was skillful enough, she would end it with a slash to the neck like Belle. However, that level of skill was something she hadn't attained yet. At present, she could only do small slashes to hurt the goblin. She went in her stance and slashed. Following that up, she moved her feet to another stance and slashed again. Again. In the end, the goblin died. Lily managed to bisect it on the stomach. So, Belle said with a smile, approaching her. How does it feel? Your first official adventurer experience. To be honest, Master Belle, it feels weird. How did yours go? After killing my first goblin, I ran back towards my goddess with a smile on my face. Master Belle is already Master Belle even back then, huh? She teased. It was uplifting how he could share something embarrassing like that just to cheer her up. Her teacher was truly one of a kind. Hey! Their banter was interrupted by another batch of monsters. This time it was 1 goblin and 2 kobolds. You can handle it, Lily. I know it. I'll play supporter and get this one's magic stones. Right, Lily tried to calm herself. Facing 1 was hard enough already. Now she had to go against 3? Was this how scary it was to become an adventurer? Master Belle was really courageous to undertake such an endeavor. Lily put down her feet and slashed at the goblin. Unexpectedly, it flew farther than she intended. That was weird. But not wanting to lose the momentum, Lily moved again, taking the position of the monsters and the lesson she got this morning about her positioning. She swung her blade, hit the kobold, and turned her body to stab the other kobold. However, it was a mistake as her weapon was now stuck on the dead kobold while the other 2 monsters weren't finished yet. Ah! However, before the 2 could get to her, her teacher quickly dispatched them. See? I'm watching your back. Don't worry. Just try to familiarize yourself with the sensation of hitting flesh. Right? Lily replied. She knew that her sword was a real sword. It was sharp, heavy, and dangerous. However, Belle's training made her forget her objective. Killing monsters. Now that she had the first taste, suddenly, the steel in her hands felt much heavier. The burden of taking life. Belle had once talked about it. She brushed it aside that one time because, well, this was coming from someone who prayed for those he killed, so she thought he was just talking nonsense. But now she felt it. Strange. Lily knew that it was a goblin, a monster born from the dungeon. They had nothing else in their mind but the will to kill adventurers. And yet, despite that fact, Lily felt terrible about it. Her musings were interrupted by another batch of newly born monsters. Stand down, Lily. I think this is enough for today. We'll continue tomorrow. For now, I'm curious to see my new skill. Ah, that Soothe Belle skill. Lily also wonders about it. She sheathed her sword. Now that Belle had taken command of the situation, she trusted him to protect her. The monsters were growling, surrounding them. All right, I don't know how to activate this, but here we go. Skill. Activate. Nothing. No sign of change. Master Belle, it looks like the skill doesn't trigger. Do you remember the wording, Lily? Belle began to sweat. Presence will not agitate those born in the dungeon. Lily thought this was passive, but the monsters are still growling at us. No, I'm very sure this is an active skill. Hold on, let me concentrate. Watch my back. Okay, Lily. Lily will try. Belle closed his eyes and concentrated. This wasn't magic. This was a skill. His presence would not agitate the monsters, so he had to believe. He had to will it. He had to activate the skill. Slowly, the sound of bell chimes could be heard reverberating around them. Lily, who had been in a stance and was ready to strike, lost her concentration and looked around. Where did that chiming sound come from? As she looked around, her eyes caught something interesting. Belle's body was aglow. White lights surrounded him, making him look like a hero straight out of a fairy tale. She caught herself. There was still a fight to be held. However, as she turned her eyes towards her opponent, she saw something baffling. The monsters weren't attacking her. Wah! Indeed, the two goblins she was facing, both of them just stood there, looking at the light, completely ignoring Lily. What was happening? The chiming sound continued as Lily fully scanned her environment, only to confirm her suspicions. Every monster in the vicinity did not do anything. Wait, this had to be Belle's skill. But what was the trigger? The chiming sound? She stayed silent to fully grasp the sound of the chime. The constant rhythm provided comfort. The soft sound did not strain the ears. It was a calming sound that would surely soothe the heart. Ha! Frankly, to someone like her, the existence of such a skill was ridiculous. Ha ha ha. Then again, this was Belle they were talking about. If there was anyone that embodied the term ridiculous, it was him. Ha 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 ha. And so she laughed. The sound of her laughter harmonized with the chime to make a pleasing melody. Her laugh caught the attention of Belle, who opened his eyes. What's wrong, Lily? Why are you laughing? A few seconds later, Belle's eyes took sight of the same thing Lily saw. Ha! Is this my skill? Soothe Belle, indeed. The Falna truly knows, Lily remarked after a satisfying laugh. Ah! Belle blushed. Lily hit the mark about his skill. A skill to pacify the monsters was too striking to be used casually. I think I'll use this sparingly. More like, you need to use it only on emergency, Master Belle. That skill's too dangerous to be used casually. You'll be targeted by bigger familias. They'll poach you from Lady Hestia. Belle nodded. I understand. So how do I turn this off? How should Lily know? It's Master Belle's skill. In the end, Belle managed to will it to end. The motes of light faded, and so did the chime. The monsters weren't pacified anymore. They growled at them again, so Lily prepared herself for another fight. No need. Belle went into a stance for breath of water and quickly swept them all up in his wave of water. Let's collect them and finish our excursion, yeah? They collected the magic stones and soon left the dungeon. For Roland Wolf, being an adventurer was not his goal. He wanted riches. That was what all poor farm boys wish for in life. He abandoned his life on the farm for a chance for glory in the center of the world. And yet, he would never expect to face death's door on his first day being an adventurer. Coming from a small familia, he had no one to mentor him. The other slightly senior members were gathering funds at the lower level for a good house, so it's all on him for his first day in the dungeon. 5 goblins were surrounding him, cutting off his escape routes. Not that he knew where the routes were. Nobody explained things to him, even his advisor. Raising the guild-issued sword half-heartedly, he steeled his heart. If he were to die today, at least he did not want to die pathetically. Come on, you freaky monsters. The attack never came. Suddenly the 5 goblins just stood there. What? Was this some kind of joke? He tried to poke the goblins, but they did not retaliate in any dangerous manner. The goblin he poked just turned its head on him and then looked away. It was then that he heard something reverberate around them. The sound of a bell chimes in a constant rhythm. Not wanting to question the gods' given opportunity, he ran away to safety. That night, he told his familia what happened on the first floor. Nobody believed him, not even his deity. He turned towards his advisor, but it was the same reaction. No way something like a bell chime of hope existed. But Roland did not give up. If nobody in his familia or even his advisor would believe him, then he'd tell the story at the pubs. It wasn't that he wanted to be known for discovering it. Well, he wanted renown, but not for this. He wanted to spread the word because he knew he wasn't the first to experience near death in the dungeon. Hell, he'd bet more died because of the swarming monsters than they are alive and saved. If the cause of the bell chime of hope was known and replicable, then undoubtedly more people could be saved. In the end, nobody believed him. No one would take something coming from a newbie adventurer like him seriously. But at least he had spread the words. It wouldn't be until the far future that the truth unveiled, and one Roland Wolf would give smug, "I told you so" looks at his familia and his advisor. After their venture into the dungeon, Belle and Lily had 2 more last stops before going home. The first was Mrs. Estelle's flower shop. When they arrived there, the mood inside the shop was very cheery for some reason. Mrs. Estelle was humming with a smile on her face while Rosie was tending the displayed flowers. "Good evening, Mrs. Estelle." "Ah, Belle. Good evening. How are you?" "I'm okay. You?" "Quite happy, actually. Is there something you need?" "Another wreath of peony. Actually, make it 8. Belle requested with a smile. Estelle stopped looking at the book and turned her attention to him. "I'm sure," Belle nodded. "All right, fine. Please wait." When Belle looked around for Lily, he saw her talking with Rosie. Rosie was quite animated in talking with Lily. Wait. Every time they were outside, Lily shrouded herself in an illusion, creating 2 fake Chiantrope ears. However, her palm height stayed the same. Could it be that Rosie did not realize that she was talking with a teenager? That might be possible, Belle concluded. Looking at her mannerism, Rosie looked like she had found a playmate. Belle caught Lily throwing a help me look at him. However, he wanted to introduce Lily to Rosie in the first place, so the two getting along was to his benefit. Maybe he'd subtly tell Rosie that Lily was older than her by a large margin later. Soon, Estelle came back with the flowers. "Here it is, Belle. 8 wreaths of peony. Are you sure you can bring them all? You can bring half first and then come back here later." "It's fine. Lily, help me please," he called to Lily, who was still stuck talking to Rosie. The relief on her face was very palpable, although soon it turned into annoyance when she realized Belle had a slight smile on his face. "Master Belle, why didn't you save Lily sooner?" She pouted, complaining about the situation. "Here, can you take 4 of them? I'll take the other half." "Okay, wait, you didn't answer Lily's question. How much for this, Mrs. Estelle?" "Master Belle." Estelle laughed, seeing Belle's playful grin as he consciously ignored Lily's complaints. "It's fine, Belle. It's all on the house." Belle's smile quickly turned into a frown. "I can't do that, Mrs. Estelle. I respect you too much to simply take it just like that." A previous customer was very generous in giving his tip. "It's enough to cover the cost of your purchase," Estelle explained to him with a small laugh. "We didn't really expect that, so I decided to give free flowers to any incoming customers until the excess is covered." Hearing that, Belle smiled. "Thank you for your kindness, Mrs. Estelle. I'm sure in the future, people will also be kind to you. Take care, Belle." "Yeah. Bye-bye, big bro Belle. See you later, Rosie." Belle and Lily left the flower shop and went to the adventurer's graveyard. On the way there, Lily pondered about the shopkeeper's decision. "Master Belle, your kindness is infectious." "I'd say that's a good thing," Belle replied as they continued walking to their destination. "Not all of them will follow me, and I'm sure no small amount between them will be taken advantage of by other people. But their decision to continue giving kindness is why I continue giving kindness myself." "If," Lily started, "if any of them became jaded, what would you do, Master Belle?" "Why would I care about that? Everyone is different. No people are the same. Of course, some would have more patience, while others would be more short-fused. I wouldn't blame any of them if they became jaded. Still, I believe that their kindness will be repaid by kindness." Lily was silent. "In fact, when you think about it again, isn't the 2 of us being gifted these flowers is a repayment for some kindness we did in the past?" "That's jumping to conclusion, Master Belle. Still, isn't it more fun thinking that way?" Belle gave her a sideways smile. "Lily hopes someday Lily can be as positive as you," concluded with a shake of her head. The mind of her teacher was too complex for her to figure out. "Start by not being as grumpy as you normally are." "Master Belle." He only laughed at Lily's pout. Soon, they arrived in the adventurer's graveyard. Belle patiently looked on the gravestone's name, having been told by Ina about the identities of the ashes he cremated. 5 minutes of searching yielded results when they finally found the correct gravestones. There were fresh flowers on them, though none that Belle recognized. He put his own onto the pile of flowers. Belle put his hand together and prayed. He did not know the circumstances. However, the result was the death of 5 adventurers of the Ganesha familia. No matter how he thought about it, it wasn't worth it. His level up was not worth 5 dead bodies. And so, he prayed that their souls would find happiness. "Lily," Belle called to her after he finished his prayer. "Yes, Master Belle? Do you think it's a fair trade-off? 5 lives for my level up." There was silence. "No. What happened before we stumbled upon the scene is something that we couldn't control. You shouldn't blame yourself, Master Belle." Lily tried to nip that thought before it could fester after thinking for a while. "I'm not blaming myself. I'm just asking you, do you think it's a fair trade-off?" Lily personally thinks it's not. We shouldn't judge one life with another, but I agree. That's why I promise you, I'll make it worth it. Belle turned his attention to the gravestones, the last mark of the 5 people who had allowed him to have a chance to face that minotaur. Belle bowed his head towards them as last gratitude. This would be the last time he ever compared lives. Come on, Lily. There are still other gravestones we need to visit. Lily blinked. That's right. Master Belle bought 8. We only put 5 here. The other 3 are a little further away. Let's go. Apparently, a little further away in Belle's dictionary meant their next destination was a secluded place where no other gravestones were in their sight. Lily took a look at the headstones, but they had no name or dates. Master Belle, whose graveyard are these? She questioned her teacher. I don't know. Belle put the flowers on each of them. But when I stumbled here, it was so dirty and unkempt. Lily sighed in understanding. Of course you took care of them. Typical Master Belle. Yup. I thought since we are going to pay respect to the Ganesha Familia members, why not visit these graves too? Belle then put his hand together again. Lily also did the same. While the Ganesha Familia members she honestly felt bad for, this one she couldn't quite put her emotions behind. These were strangers' graves, nothing connected to the two of them. She wasn't Belle who could empathize with anyone and everyone, even the monsters. But, even if these were strangers' graves, even if she couldn't feel for them, she could, at least, pray for whoever they were. Thank you for indulging me, Lily. It's okay. Lily understands. Let's go home. So, how does your first run in the dungeon as a level 2? Hestia asked Belle as the 3 of them had dinner. The meal wasn't lavish, but at least it wasn't Jagamarukans. Belle swallowed the food before he replied. Oh right, I forgot to tell you. Until Welf comes back with us, I think we're going slow on the first floor to train Lily. Hestia's attention turned towards the said girl. So, Miss Supporter, I guess you're growing out of the nickname. Huh. It's fine. How is the training, anyway? Is your past life's technique truly teachable, Belle? We still don't know, Belle replied with a frown. I mean, I taught Lily the basics of swordsmanship and the breath. I haven't taught Lily about Breath of Water's actual stance yet. I want Lily to understand how it feels to use her sword. Did she do good? Miss Supporter, did you do good? Why are you the one excited about this, Lady Hestia? Lily grumbled. It's okay. I couldn't help it. If everything goes to plan, you're going to join our familia. Of course. I'm going to be excited about you, Hestia pointed out. Oh right, Master Belle, back in the dungeon. There was this one time I felt as if I was stronger than I was supposed to be. Lily reported her weird feeling. When she was full of adrenaline in the dungeon, she felt nothing amiss. Now that she could adequately process her experience, she caught that one irregularity. Can you describe your feeling? Belle put his spoon down on the plate, interested to hear more about it. I might know things or two. Well, you know Lily's skill isn't as good as you, Master Belle. Lily couldn't easily slash the monster's neck in one swing, nor was there any power behind Lily's swings. Lily started to which Belle nodded at her explanation. Lily had to hack the monsters a few times until they're dead. But there was this one instance where Lily's slash threw the body of a goblin further than Lily's expectation. It's like there is a surge of power from inside you? Belle questioned. Yes, but Lily's next try doesn't result in anything like that. It felt like a coincidence. But Lily thinks it's worth mentioning. Belle only smiled. Master Belle. In fact, his eyes teared up, even if his smile did not falter. Belle? Why are you crying? Hestia immediately went to Belle's side. Ah, I feel really relieved. I couldn't stop my tears. Belle's sobs were clear for Lily and Hestia. The two women looked at each other, silently screaming to understand Belle. Belle. Sorry. He wiped the tears using his shirt. I must look like a fool. Well, no. But if you suddenly cried like that, we're going to be worried. Hestia moved to hug him. Belle did not resist. A hug from his goddess might be what he needed to feel better. I'm just... Lily, what you described is you perfectly replicating my breathing technique. Silence. Both Hestia and Lily were stunned by Belle's admission. Full focus breathing isn't a recognized skill. If it was, I'd have it written on my back. However, suppose you're doing it correctly. In that case, you're going to have a boost in your overall base power, speed, and endurance. How do you think I managed to punch above my weight class at level 1? Lily looked like she wanted to say something but couldn't. Her mouth kept opening and closing. So those are tears of happiness, huh? Hestia asked him as she released her embrace. Belle nodded. I'm delighted because that means these dreams of mine aren't just something I made up. It's proof that once, the person I looked up to really exists. Kamadu Tanjiro is real. Now they understood why Belle cried. All these times, Belle was afraid that the boy he looked up was just some fictional character he conjured up in his mind. However, with Lily managing to tap into the same power Belle mastered, it meant that it wasn't made up. Belle Cranel was the reincarnation of someone named Kamadu Tanjiro from the Far East. Master Belle. Lily thought to use it. You need to have your fauna updated. That's the breathing style, the swordsmanship, And no, you don't need the elemental respiration to use it. From my understanding, the skill materializes the style. So if you don't have it, you can still do the kata perfectly, just no water or fire. Ah, then Lily can theoretically use it now. This, Belle scoffed. You haven't even mastered the basics. Come back later when you can confidently go to the 5th floor alone. Lily pouted. You know Lily can't because Lily's status is still low. Whatever. Lily will just master the basic. So you can eat your words, Master Belle. That's the spirit, Miss Supporter. Belle laughed at Lily's reaction. That was pretty much the real Lily. Sometimes he'd poke at her just to see her reaction. He was glad that Lily enjoyed her time with them to drop her guard like this. Continuing today's report, Lady Hestia. Lily began. Master Belle's skill stands out too much. He can't use it freely, or else other familiars will take notice of it and try to poach Master Belle. Hestia looked at Lily, eyes wide and mouth agape. Then she turned her eyes on him as if asking, Really? After all my efforts hiding his rare skill, he got another one? She muttered under her breath, unheard by anyone else. I thought it's a passive skill. Hestia turned to Lily again. Lily thought so too, but Master Belle had to be Master Belle and got an unheard, rare and valuable skill instead of getting a normal one. Lily stabbed the food on her plate in frustration. Goddess dash. Don't goddess me now. She shouted at Belle before turning to Lily again. Miss Supporter, how does the skill work? Lily doesn't know how Master Belle activated it, but after it is activated, Master Belle's body glows, and the sound of bell chime reverberates around us. The monsters did not growl at us again. Instead, it was looking at Master Belle's lights. Or maybe they were listening to the bell chimes. Lily doesn't know. Hestia face-bombed. Okay, we can fix this. Belle, you don't use it unless it's an emergency. Understood. Hestia ordered, and Belle nodded in understanding. But what constitutes an emergency? Can I use it to save somebody else? Hestia bit her lip in hesitation. I'd prefer you use it as a last resort. If you can, try to save them normally first. Belle wanted to open his mouth, but Hestia beat him to it. Listen, Belle. I am your goddess. I am the one ordering you this. I will take any responsibility for any guilt you will have. I'll face other gods and goddesses in your stead. Hestia's order was clear, and so was her assurance. She glaringly stated that if Belle were to be late in saving someone, she would not blame him because he was following her order. Belle sighed. I do not like this one bit, goddess, but I understand. Hestia hugged Belle again. I'm sorry, Belle, but you're precious to me. I don't want anything to happen to you. Sorry to interject, but Lily didn't understand why you don't trust Master Belle and had to make a point about this. Lady Hestia? Lily raised her hand and asked Hestia. Her order sounded excessive to Lily. This time it was Hestia's turn to sigh. Okay, I'll show you something, Miss Supporter. Hestia turned to Belle. Pretend I'm someone else, Belle. Hestia faked a cough before smiling at Belle. Oh goody, it's Belle Cranel. I heard you have some amazing skills to calm monsters. That's just rumor. Belle was caught off guard by Hestia's request. He averted his eyes and looked at Lily, who only stared at him unimpressively. Lily understands. Master Belle sucks at lying. Come on, guys. Anybody would also be caught off guard by Goddess's sudden request. Let me prepare myself first. Belle tried to bargain for his pride. No, Belle. You can't lie, Hestia pointed out. No. Belle's brain tried to muster any proof that he could actually lie to someone. I lied to everyone else outside this familia and Lily that I trained in the Far East. That's actually true. Did you explicitly state that? Or does everyone come to their own conclusion while you only laughed without saying anything to disprove it or outright agreeing with it? Hestia narrowed her eyes at Belle, who only blushed because he was caught lying again while trying to prove that he could lie. I thought so. Master Belle indeed can't lie, Lily giggled. Everyone's against me, Belle murmured. Hestia smiled at him. Honestly, Belle, your honest nature is also part of your charm. However, this time it's working against you. I hope you really understand the magnitude of the situation. You must not say anything to anyone about your new skill. I understand. Maybe try doing the same thing, Master Belle. Let everyone come to their own conclusion while you just smile at them. It works once. Maybe it'll work again. Okay. Let's try again. Hestia faked cough again. Belle Cranel, I heard you have some rare skills that can calm monsters. Ahaha, not as powerful as the rumor. And I don't think it's a rare skill. Maybe because no one else has tried it before. So I'm the first who got it. Then you won't refuse if I ask you to teach me? Sure. Just be kind to the monsters. Belle smiled. That's it. Lily shouted suddenly, getting everyone's attention. That's a good deflection, Master Belle. You are one of a kind adventurer that is courageous enough to be kind to the monsters. No one will try the same even if you shout it to the rest of Orrerio. They're too logical to try your way. Hearing you say it like that makes me sound like a crazy lunatic for being kind to the monsters. Belle scratched his cheek. You are. That's because you are. Lily and Hestia shouted at the same time. But you're my crazy lunatic child, Hestia smiled. And you're my crazy lunatic teacher. Lily also smiled. But Miss Supporter's idea might work. Deceive them with honesty. No sane adventurer will try it. Oh, as long as you say at first that you aren't liable in taking any responsibility should there be any dangerous accidents for those trying. Hestia nodded to herself before looking at Belle. The problem was the deities. If they still wanted to snatch Belle even after that, she did not know what Belle would do. To Belle, this familia was his family, and she would hate to know how far was the length Belle would go to preserve it. Dinner ended without any more interruption. Before they went to sleep, though, Hestia remembered something. Oh yeah, Belle. Do you know why I want you to officially become level 2 today? Hestia asked, hiding her grin. Huh? The faster, the better, right? Not quite. It's because tomorrow is Denatus, Hestia pointed out, feeling proud of herself. That means, Master Belle will be given alias tomorrow instead of next month. Goddess. Thank you. You're welcome, Belle. Good night. The next evening, Belle came back from the dungeon to see Hestia grumbling something about shitty deities. When he and Lily asked about it, she explained it in detail. Apparently, the gods decided that his alias would be Kagura. That made Belle really delighted, being called that name. Still, he thought he'd get something along the lines of Sword Dancer or something. Totally not because he wanted to get a similar name as Ace. But simply being called Kagura was enough to make him cheerful. Also, it turned out that since his name was Kagura, now the gods, specifically the one hailing from the Far East, wanted him to perform a Kagura dance for them. Hestia felt that she needed to inform him, but she had no intention to let Belle do it for money. Lily whined about it for a while, but when Hestia explained that she did not want to whore Belle, Lily took back her words and agreed with her. The two minds had a similar train of thought. Belle was too pure to be subjected to everyone's attention like that.